Chapter 737. The moment the black gourd appeared in Dongbo Shuiying's hand, the treasure spirit became anxious. He transmitted anxiously, "Stop, stop, stop, stop right now. Hurry up and drip a drop of blood onto the black gourd." If the treasure spirit had said something else, Dongbo Shuiying would not have bothered with it. After all, the protectors of the ancestor mother religion would be able to hide in the treasure if he delayed for even a moment. But the words of the treasure spirit made him stop. Drip a drop of blood onto the black gourd? Dongbo Shuiying could not help but let his imagination run wild. "You brat that doesn't want your life. Hurry up and drip a drop of blood on it. Isn't this what you have always wanted?" The treasure spirit urged. Dongbo Shuiying had some thoughts in his heart. He grabbed the black gourd with his left hand and dripped a drop of blood. This drop of blood touched the black gourd, and the black gourd naturally absorbed this drop of blood. Wang! Dongbo Shuiying felt a sense of familiarity coming from the black gourd in his hand. It felt like his limbs. He could easily sense everything within the black gourd. There was a huge and mysterious array enveloping a fireball. That fireball was vast and boundless, and the ripples it emitted were merely the shallowest part of its power. Even though the fireball was powerful, it was completely controlled by the void array. The fireball was entirely red. Endless waves of fire were rolling about, and the power contained within was unimaginable. Dongbo Shuiying had obtained the black gourd for so many years, yet he had never felt the fireball so clearly even when he displayed his control technique. "Treasure spirit, have I successfully refined the black gourd?" Dongbo Shuiying could not help but ask. He did not display his control technique, yet he could sense the entire black gourd so clearly. The only explanation was that the black gourd had recognized him as its master. But he had merely dripped a drop of blood on it. In the past 600,000 years, he had thought of many methods. He had tried dripping a drop of blood on it, but it had all failed. "You have already refined the black gourd. The black gourd has recognized you as its master. Why, can't you sense whether you have refined it or not?" The treasure spirit unhappily asked. Yes. Dongbo Shuiying was overjoyed and confused at the same time. "I also thought that I had successfully refined it, but I didn't do anything. I only released a drop of blood according to what you said, and I succeeded?" The artifact spirit sneered. "Dongbo, do you really think you can refine a defensive treasure, like the black gourd with your cultivation base? The black gourd itself contains the mysteries of the array. Don't you feel it yourself?" "I feel it." Dongbo Shuiying transmitted his voiceover. "Over 600,000 years, what I have comprehended is only the tip of the iceberg. I don't have the slightest confidence in refining it. This is a formation that can suppress and control fireballs. Not to mention you, even your master, Bloodblade, can't refine such a formation. An exalted expert, let alone 1,000,000 years, even if he had 10 billion years, he still wouldn't be able to refine it by himself. Then why did Senior Voidwalker set the third test? Why does he have to refine it within 1,000,000 years?" Dongbo Shuiying asked curiously. "It's simple," the artifact spirit explained. "There are 3 tests. For the first test, if you can obtain the black gourd, it proves that your overall potential has reached a higher level. The second test is a test of your perception. After all, there are very few Voidwalkers, and not everyone is qualified to cultivate them. Your perception has passed the test. The third test is a test of your temperament." Temperament? Dongbo Shuiying's heart skipped a beat. "If you're an evil being, the stronger you are, the more harm you will bring to the living beings." The earliest founder of the Voidwalkers was an extremely benevolent being. He did not even want to trample an ordinary ant to death. He had been to countless places, passed through countless universes, and helped countless weak and small living beings. He had long set the rule that his people did not seek to be kind, but he would never allow evil beings to cultivate his legacy. So the third test, refining the black gourd in 1,000,000 years, is actually for me, the artifact spirit, to observe your every move and determine your temperament. If your temperament is evil, then I'll naturally leave after 1,000,000 years. If you pass the temperament test, I'll let you drip a drop of blood to recognize me as your master after 1,000,000 years. The original duration of the test was 1,000,000 years, But you brat just had to seek your own death. No matter what, after 600,000 years, I've seen your character clearly. You've treated your disciples, your old friends and brothers in your race. You've done all of these very well. Even when you travel around the cosmos in search of opportunities to refine the black gourd, you didn't kill the innocent and lived in seclusion in the mortal world. You even treated the weak mortals with respect and politeness. You've passed the temperament test too. Dongbo Shuang finally understood. It seemed that the final test had always been in the hands of this artifact spirit. That's right, Senior Voidwalker was no longer around. He must have arranged everything for the artifact spirit. As Dongbo Shuang was conversing with the artifact spirit, he delayed his actions. It allowed the protectors from the ancestor mother religion sufficient time to react. They were so frightened that they quickly hid in their treasures, leaving behind the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 apex protectors. They were all staring at Dongbo Shuang, or more accurately, at the black gourd in Dongbo Shuang's hand. Their eyes were filled with terror and fury. Dongbo Shuang, why didn't you act? Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction transmitted. What's going on? It was such a good opportunity just now, yet you didn't act. Now they're hiding inside. White Sovereign King also transmitted a question. He could not blame Dongbo Shuang, just that this was clearly not in accordance with the plan he had set. Brother Dongbo? Paragon Huicheng shouted out too. Dongbo Shuang only reacted after hearing the transmission by his ear. He could not help but turn to the group of paragons in the distance. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, White Sovereign King, Devil Phoenix, Mysterious North Imperial Empress, and others were all looking at Dongbo Shuang. The paragons from the side of the cultivators were also looking at Dongbo Shuang. After all, he was the crux of the matter. I'm ashamed. Dongbo Shuang transmitted. This strange treasure of mine is extremely hard to use. Just when I was about to use it, I suddenly had a sudden enlightenment, greatly improving my control over the treasure. Currently, I can still use it a few more times, and not just once. But because I had a sudden enlightenment, I was delayed. Sudden enlightenment? You can still use it a few more times? The group of paragons was startled and delighted. Previously, they felt that their chances of victory were slim. At this moment, they felt that their chances of victory were extremely high. However, many of them felt slightly guilty. Even Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction transmitted over. Dongbo Shuang, I'm sorry. I did not think that you were in the midst of comprehension previously. That's why I transmitted over and destroyed your comprehension. Dongbo Shuang, we were too anxious previously, and interrupted your enlightenment. The paragons all transmitted over. They were clear how hard it was to obtain enlightenment. Just a short moment of enlightenment had allowed his control over the black gourd to greatly improve. If he had comprehended for a longer period of time, his control over the black gourd might have improved further. It's a pity that it was disrupted by them. It's fine. Dongbo Shuang was speechless. He had casually found an excuse. After all, he could not possibly say that this was the 3rd trial set by the Voidwalker, and that he had passed it. And on the other side, the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 protectors from the ancestor mother religion, who were prepared to die, felt puzzled. This Dongbo Shuang should have suddenly used that black gourd strange treasure to kill us all. Why didn't he? Unless he failed to use it? That's right. How could it be that easy to use such a strange treasure consecutively? Perhaps he might not be able to use the black gourd anymore. If that's the case, without the threat of the black gourd, we will definitely win. Chapter 738. It was normal for the golden-haired monkey and the others to think this way. Not just them. Even the rulers outside the primal chaos flying ship, and the huge sculpture Gu Qianluo, who was watching silently by the side, could not help but think. Why did he not use the black gourd at the crucial moment? Could it be that he could not use it? It was understandable that a paragon could not use this strange treasure a second time within a short period. Peng! Dongbo Shuang pulled out the stopper of the black gourd without any warning. Peng! The black ripple appeared once again. It brought death and destruction. Before the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 top protectors could react, the black wave had already invaded their bodies. The bodies of the other 3 top protectors were a level weaker, so they were instantly crushed. They only had time to show shock and pain in their eyes before they were crushed into nothingness. He can still use it. But why did he not force more of our protectors out? Why did he attack directly? The golden-haired monkey could feel that the deepest part of his body was being destroyed. He knew that death was approaching. At the same time, he felt sorrowful and puzzled. Unless he can use it more times? The golden-haired monkey stayed within the red light region for close to 9 breaths of time. Even though it was possible for the group of paragons to force him to leave, the other apex protectors from the ancestor mother religion might appear to help him. The moment 10 breaths of time passed, he would be defeated. Hence, Dongbo Shuang did not hesitate to act. He did not care about using it one more time, because he was no longer suffering from the backlash of the black gourd. This feeling is truly. Dongbo Shuang grabbed the black gourd. He could feel the terrifying energy surging within. Nevertheless, the void array was extremely obedient. It could perfectly control every strand of energy, preventing it from harming him. He could even control these ripples as he pleased. Previously, he could only foolishly unleash them in a single direction. And now, if Dongbo Shuang was willing, he could rely on the void array to control these ripples. For instance, he could split them into 18 ripples and attack in 18 different directions. He could even form a sphere to protect himself completely. This was also possible. This was the benefit of having recognized a master. But this is the interior of the primal chaos flying ship. That mysterious Gu Qianluo is the master of this ship. It is better for me to remain low profile and not be targeted by him. Dongbo Shuang remained vigilant. Boom! The golden-haired monkey's body was being torn apart. He was roaring angrily, but the sound of his roar could not be heard. Anger. He couldn't accept this. But in the end, his body completely disintegrated into nothingness. A holy protector and 3 apex protectors had disappeared. With a thought, Shuang stopped the black ripples rushing out from the mouth of the black gourd. He directly said, "Act and force more of their protectors out." All right. Force them out. The group of cultivators and supremacies were all in high spirits. After entering the chaos flying ship for so long, this moment was the most exhilarating. The ancestor mother religion protectors had to come out. If they didn't come out, the treasures they were hiding in would be obtained by cultivators. At that time, they would be in an even more miserable state. So, a total of 9 top-notch protectors appeared, led by a robust man with a staff. All of them were filled with anger and pain. Following the encirclement of Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, White Sovereign King, and a large group of paragons, more apex protectors were forced out. If they didn't come out, the paragons alone would be enough to kill them. Are we going to lose? Could it be that this Dongbo Shuang can use that black gourd again? How could this be? Even though the apex protectors were fighting, they were feeling sorrowful in their hearts. They could vaguely feel death approaching them. In the distance, Dongbo Shuang stood there without participating in the battle. He only held onto the black gourd in his hand without plugging it. Clearly, he could act at any time. The protectors who were fighting felt heartache. In the distant palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the religious leaders were releasing their auras. Their eyes were filled with sorrow, anger, and pain. After all, how many protectors were there in the entire ancestor mother religion? Most of them were their disciples whom they had nurtured. Now that they were about to die on a large scale, this was a true death. The sect masters all felt a chill in their hearts. We have long lost our path of retreat. After sending them into the primal chaos flying ship, they can only win. Bloodblade and the others have already sealed the surroundings of the primal chaos flying ship. The moment they lose, they can't even escape. The fanged religious leader said, "There is no path of retreat. We can only win. Right now, we can only gamble on the fact that this Dongbo Shuang can only use that black gourd a few times. This is the only hope for them to survive. But that Dongbo Shuang has only used it once against Protector Qian and the other 3 protectors. Clearly he is very confident." A thin and weak old man muttered. Silence reigned. The other religious leaders were silent. They were looking at the scene in midair. Within that scene, Dongbo Shuang had already used the black gourd once again. That vast ripple that made others feel despair enveloped the world. Because the paragons had suddenly disappeared, the remaining 18 protectors did not have the time to escape. They were swept by this ripple. Other than the muscular man with a wooden pole, the other 17 apex protectors dissipated like dust. The muscular man could only hold on for a few moments before dissipating with a silent roar. So. This time, before the paragons could force them out, the remaining 10 protectors appeared. With the venom-tailed girl as the leader, there were 9 other apex protectors. They were all looking at Dongbo Shuang. Dongbo Shuang was also looking at them. If you can use it one more time, then kill us, the venom-tailed girl coldly said. They knew that it was futile to struggle. Come. The other 9 apex protectors were looking at Dongbo Shuang. They were either benevolent, cruel, cold, or tyrannical. But at this moment, they were calmly facing death. Because they were clear that there was no path of retreat. Under such circumstances, they were naturally disdainful of wagging their tails and begging for mercy. Dongbo Shuang looked at them. He could feel the determination of these protectors. He said, "Your race wants to live, but the price for your survival is to construct the Ancestor Mother altar and change the entire cosmos, exterminating our entire race. Our race wants to live too, so all of you can only die." Once again, Dongbo Shuang unleashed the black gourd. The venom-tailed girl and the 9 apex protectors still had a strand of hope in their hearts. They were gambling that Dongbo Shuang might not be able to unleash it again. But when the misty ripple engulfed them, they could only feel despair. The 9 apex protectors had dissipated in an instant. The venom-tailed girl's body was also being torn apart. Dongbo Shuang abruptly stopped the operating array within the black gourd. He plugged the cork and kept the black gourd. The venom-tailed girl who was covered in fresh blood stared at Dongbo Shuang in a daze. "Capture her," Dongbo Shuang said. "Right, capture her alive." Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction guffawed before charging forward. "Go." Monarch Hex Cricket, Water Devil King. And the others were filled with fighting spirit. Mysterious North Imperial Empress also began activating her array. The paragons were also working together. The venom-tailed girl looked at everything. Her rapidly recovering face revealed a sneer. She let out an ear-piercing voice. "You want to capture her alive? Even if we die, it does not mean that we have lost the war. This cosmos will ultimately belong to us. It belongs to us." Her body suddenly exploded. Monarch Hex Cricket, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, and the others who were charging at the front also acted to protect their comrades. Dongbo Shuang seemed illusory and real at the same time. He allowed the shockwaves from the explosion to sweep over. He watched silently. These protectors from the Ancestor Mother religion had died, but they could not retreat because their entire race from the cultivator cosmos had to survive. Beautiful. One side wins and the other side dies. Gu Qianluo's voice boomed across the world. It was filled with a strand of ridicule. Chapter 739. Dongbo Shuang and the rest had just collected the weapons and treasures left behind by the protectors. Because they were ownerless, everyone was searching for their own treasures. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction's unique treasure naturally had to be returned to him. Some of the true god weapons were also returned to their original owners. As for the treasures that belonged to the Ancestor Mother religion, according to the plan, they would be checked by the rulers first. Amen. Hearing Gu Qianluo's voice, Dongbo Shuang and the rest turned over. The enormous sculpture Gu Qianluo overlooked the group of paragons. "Even though none of you could last for 10 breaths of time in the red light region, since you have one, it should be easy for you to stay there for that short period of time." All the paragons were on high alert. Not just them. Even Blood Blade, Temporal Island Lord, and the other rulers outside the Primal Chaos flying ship had solemn expressions as they watched. This was the crucial moment. In the eyes of Blood Blade and the rest, this mysterious master of the Primal Chaos flying ship was similarly a huge variable. After all, even though the cultivators had won, the master of the Primal Chaos flying ship could easily kill all the paragons and take the initiative to help the ancestor mother religion. This person called Gu Qianluo should have killed many. He isn't someone who is easy to talk to. Temporal Island Lord frowned. We have one. Without sufficient reason, he shouldn't go back on his words. Pang Yi said. They were watching nervously, and the group of religious leaders from the ancestor mother religion might be feeling grief and indignation over the large-scale destruction of their protectors. But at this moment, they were even more nervous. They hoped that this Gu Qianluo would have a breakdown in negotiations with the cultivators. Dongbo Shuiying and the rest looked up at that towering sculpture of Gu Qianluo. That cold and evil aura was constantly enveloping the surroundings. At the same time, they received a transmission from Bloodblade. Do not let your emotions affect your decisions. This primal chaos flying ship will have a huge impact on the final battle between us and the ancestor mother religion. We will inform you all of our decisions. All the paragons understood. It was better to leave the decision to the rulers. Gu Qianluo's voice rumbled as he continued. You all belong to the same superpower. I believe none of you are willing to kill each other. I am looking for a helper, and not an enemy with a grudge. Therefore, I won't force you to make a move. How about this? I'll choose one of you. Don't worry. We'll swear an ancient oath that both of us will abide by. Just like I said before, if you help me, I'll help you. The one I choose will receive opportunities that will surpass your imagination, and your cultivation system will be even more powerful than the one you have right now. As long as I do my best to nurture them, even sovereigns will be able to rival hegemons. The supremacies present were either hesitant or expectant. An ancient vow. If Gu Qianluo didn't resort to underhanded means, everyone would still be willing to take the risk. After all, it might be slightly dangerous, but it would also be a great opportunity. Which great fortuitous opportunity didn't have some setbacks and tribulations? It was simply a dream to think that he could easily get his hands on a fortuitous opportunity. Who should I choose? Gu Qianluo swept his gaze across the venerables. Once you're chosen by me, I'll immediately give you some benefits that will greatly increase your strength. Some of the venerables were looking forward to it. They were willing to bet. Some of them had been stuck in the Exalt realm for a long time and couldn't see any hope of breaking through. They wanted to break through. Dongbo Shuiying. Gu Qianluo's gaze landed on Dongbo Shuiying. Dongbo Shuiying felt his heart tightening. The other paragons were also looking at Dongbo Shuiying. Some felt helpless, but all of them were convinced. After all, Dongbo Shuiying had turned the tides of this war. He had contributed greatly, and was also the most dazzling one. It was normal for Gu Qianluo to choose him, unless he's going to choose Snow Eagle. The 10 rulers and the religious leaders were all paying close attention. The enormous sculpture Gu Qianluo looked down at Dongbo Shuiying. I can see the aura of your soul. You're extremely young, yet you possess such strength. You should be the one with the highest potential and comprehension ability amongst those present. The paragons present agreed. How long had they cultivated for? How long had Dongbo Shuiying cultivated for? Even without relying on the black gourd, he was still ranked at the forefront amongst the paragons. Choosing you as my helper is originally quite suitable, but it's a pity that you haven't transcended. The enormous sculpture Gu Qianluo shook his head. I'm going to choose a helper before leaving this cosmos with me and embarking on a long journey. You haven't transcended yet. If this cosmos epic ends, and you still haven't transcended, all life within the river of time will be extinguished. You will die too. If you die halfway through my primal chaos flying ship, I'll be in deep trouble. No choice. Gu Qianluo turned to a beautiful girl. You're called Mysterious North Imperial Empress? Yes. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. Your comprehension ability might be lacking, but you're the one most proficient in arrays. You've transcended too. Come and be my helper. Gu Qianluo directly said. Mysterious North Imperial Empress hesitated slightly, because she was currently discussing with Bloodshed God Emperor in the dark. All right, Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. You have to guarantee my safety. Rest assured. I've already said that I'll swear an ancient oath with you. After that, you'll understand that it's impossible for me to harm you. Gu Qianluo laughed out loud. He then swept his cold gaze across the other paragons. I've already chosen my helper. The rest of you can leave. Wang. An unseen ripple wrapped around Dongbo Shuiying, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, and the other paragons. They were directly teleported out of the primal chaos flying ship. Only mysterious North Imperial Empress and Gu Qianluo were left within the ship. Even though you want to help me, this is also a great opportunity for you. The edge of Gu Qianluo's mouth curled upwards. I'm rarely so benevolent. Dongbo Shuiying and the others were thrown out of the primal chaos flying ship. They felt the scenery before them changing. They were already in the starry sky outside. Not far away from them were Bloodblade and the other rulers. Fellow paragons, you've all contributed greatly to our cosmos. Bloodblade and the others flew over. The group of rulers revealed a joyous look. No matter what, the ancestor mother religion would definitely not be able to use the primal chaos flying ship. It's all thanks to Monarch Dongbo. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction was a proud person. Yet he was polite at this moment. He had a smile on his face. Firstly, they had won. Secondly, he had gotten back his survival treasure. Naturally, he was happy. The other paragons were also praising him. Dongbo Shuiying added, I'm lucky too. I was able to comprehend it at the crucial moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to use it a few more times. Your luck is just so. Primal Master laughed out loud. Brat, your performance this time is very dazzling. Your comprehension ability and potential are high too. Usually, when choosing a formidable helper, it's only natural to choose you. It's a pity that you haven't transcended. Because of this reason, that Gu Qianluo has given up on you. No matter if he's evil or not, his background seems extraordinary. If you follow him, your future will definitely be extraordinary. I also thought that I would have to choose Snow Eagle. Empress Qianhe chuckled. You actually rejected it because you haven't transcended? Bloody Ruler Nile also had a smile on his face. It's just that he was looking at Dongbo Shuiying with eyes that were filled with endless fury and killing intent. So many people he was familiar with, and the Apex Protectors had been exterminated. Furthermore, the chances of their ancestor mother religion winning this war were very low. If it was possible, Bloody Ruler Nile wanted to directly kill this Dongbo Shuiying, but he did not dare to. Because Bloodblade and the others were by the side, he could only maintain a smile and praise Dongbo Shuiying. Chapter 740. After teleporting Dongbo Shuiying and the rest out of the primal chaos flying ship, the ship was completely sealed. Be it the rulers or the religious leaders, none of them could peek inside. The rulers and Dongbo Shuiying were waiting in the starry sky outside. Dongbo. Paragon Huocheng looked at the primal chaos flying ship and transmitted. Do you think that Gu Qianluo would do something underhanded? Previously, he said that he would swear an oath to protect his helpers. Now that all of us have been chased out, leaving only mysterious North Imperial Empress inside, would he do something sinister to her? Hard to say. Dongbo Shuiying was not confident. From his aura, Gu Qianluo was a cold and evil existence that had killed countless people. Furthermore, the other party had an extraordinary background. It was normal for him to be proficient in some unknown sinister methods. Bloodblade and the rest were waiting silently. After half an hour, only then did mysterious North Imperial Empress float out of the primal chaos flying ship. The 10 rulers and paragons went up to welcome her. The aura of this mysterious North Imperial Empress seems much stronger. Dongbo Shuiying vaguely deduced that the body of mysterious North Imperial Empress had become stronger. Fellow rulers, mysterious North Imperial Empress respectfully bowed. Does that Gu Qianluo keep his promise? Bloodblade asked. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. Don't move. Let me inspect your soul. Bloodblade extended his hand. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. Even though she did not feel that she had been ambushed during the entire process, she was afraid that there might be some ambushes that she could not detect with her current realm. And Bloodblade was the current #1 expert in the cosmos. His strength was deep and unfathomable, and it was not easy to evade his detection. Gu Qianluo had a formidable background, and Bloodblade similarly had some fortuitous encounters. Bloodshed God Emperor placed his palm on the shoulder of mysterious North Imperial Empress. An unseen energy directly permeated into her body. Mysterious North Imperial Empress did not obstruct it. This energy directly entered the consciousness of mysterious North Imperial Empress and examined her true deity heart. After a moment, only then did Bloodblade loosen his grip. The other rulers looked at him. The paragons, including the mysterious North Imperial Empress, also looked at God Emperor. Bloodblade smiled. That Gu Qianluo did leave some tricks on the mysterious North Divine Heart. However, it was used to protect the mysterious North Imperial Empress. Everyone was relieved. Your Majesty, regarding the primal chaos flying ship. The mysterious North Imperial Empress was just about to speak. In a moment, we can talk about it in detail at the Bloodshed God Palace. Bloodblade immediately interrupted him. Furthermore, we also need you to have a proper discussion with Gu Qianluo. Following that, the rulers proceeded to check through the treasures left behind by the protectors, but only that terrifying weapon was taken away by them. The rest were split amongst Dongbua Shuiying and the others. That terrifying weapon required Dominator rank power to store up, and it could only be used once. In the hands of a hegemon, it could be used in battle at any time. In the hands of a venerable, it could only be used once. As for the other treasures, they were ordinary. This time, even though the Ancestor Mother religion had staked everything on this primal chaos flying ship, they knew that if they failed, they were not willing to leave behind treasures that were too good for the cultivators. Hence, the rewards were ordinary. Following that, everyone dispersed and returned to their respective locations. The rulers brought mysterious North Imperial Empress away. Black Fog Sea Monarch residence. Within the courtyard, there was a thick layer of snow. After all, the battle in the primal chaos flying ship had only lasted for 2 days, and the thick layer of snow had not melted yet. Wine was currently being brewed on the table. Dongbua Shuiying and Jingqiu were seated opposite each other. They were currently chatting about what happened in the primal chaos flying ship. So such a huge matter has happened in just 2 days. Jingqiu poured wine for Dongbua Shuiying. At the same time she sighed. Qin Yao and I feel that our days of cultivation are ordinary, yet we do not know that there is a calamity looming over us. If you all lose this time, with the help of the primal chaos flying ship from the Ancestor Mother religion, we cultivators might really be defeated. Many sentient beings will be exterminated, and the weak like us might not be able to escape. Jingqiu, I'll never allow such a thing to happen. Dongbua Shuiying looked at his wife. Jingqiu smiled. She felt sweet in her heart. She had always felt that reincarnating was the wisest decision she had ever made in her life. This matter involves 2 cosmoses, and the level is too high. I can only pour wine for you here. Jingqiu said. Ha ha ha. I can only contribute this time. I'm not qualified to participate in the battle between rulers. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head. Even though the black gourd was powerful, it was used to protect him. It could allow him to survive in front of powerful rulers. As for killing rulers, that was hopeless. The realms of the rulers were much higher than his. The moment the Ancestor Mother religion reached the religious leader level, there would be a qualitative change in their strength. They would be able to fight against the rulers on the side of the cultivators. We'll have to rely on teacher and the others for the ruler battle. Dongbua Shuiying said. We'll have the help of the primal chaos flying ship in this battle. Our chances of winning should be 99%. That was what he said. Dongbua Shuiying felt his heart tightening. The Ancestor Mother religion would definitely not give up. They would definitely engage in the most frenzied struggle. What if there was a huge reversal, and they were defeated? Countless sentient beings would be exterminated. That scene made Dongbua Shuiying tremble just thinking about it. Dongbua Shuiying, after refining the black gourd, it's time for you to accept the Voidwalker inheritance. The treasure spirit transmitted. Voidwalker inheritance? Dongbua Shuiying's eyes brightened. He then turned to his wife who was drinking fruit wine with him. There's no rush. I'll accompany Jingqiu first before setting off. Within the vast palace hall of the Ancestor Mother religion, The group of religious leaders were seated cross-legged. Their auras were grand and distant, yet the atmosphere here seemed to have solidified. After negotiations, Gu Qianluo has agreed to help the cultivators. The incarnation of bloody ruler Nile said. He really agreed. Damn. He actually. The religious leaders felt as though they were facing a calamity. Even though they were all-powerful, they felt as though they were suffocating. This feeling of impending death made them even more furious. Being able to reach their current realm, it was naturally impossible for them to be willing to die. They would rather die than risk it all. Who knew if a miracle might happen? It's all because of that Dongbu Shuang. He ruined the victory that was within our grasp. Otherwise, the primal chaos flying ship would have helped us. It's all because of him. So many protectors have died in his hands. They had emotions too. Those protectors who had lived for a long time had a deep relationship with them. Some were even like family. With so many massacres happening, they had long hated Dongbu Shuang to the bone. And this defeat might cause them to lose the final battle. That would mean the extermination of their entire race. That made them even more furious. Before the final battle, we must kill this Dongbu Shuang to vent our frustrations. If we don't vent our frustrations, it will be hard for us to calm down. A muscular man with dark yellow skin growled. Kill him. A cold black-armored girl said. Her only disciple had been killed by Dongbu Shuang using the black gourd. The fanged religious leader looked at the other religious leaders, nodding. His black gourd might be slightly clumsy, but its power is huge. Rulers do not dare to fight against it. In the hands of that Dongbu Shuang, it is only a minor threat. But in our hands, it can still be of some use during the war. Then let's find an opportunity to kill him once he leaves the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace, and snatch the black gourd. Amen. Those present nodded. They could not act within the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace, because the blood blade could instantly reach the place. Find out his location. The fanged religious leader ordered. Very soon the news came. Dongbu Shuaying's true body is still in the material realm. His avatar has disappeared without a trace, and the karma cannot be found. The news came. What, the karma disappeared again? The fanged religious leader and the others were startled. What they did not know was that Dongbu Shuaying had already entered the inheritance ground of the Void Walker. Chapter 741. Within a courtyard covered in snow, Dongbu Shuaying accompanied his wife as they drank fruit wine and chatted. He was enjoying and treasuring this tranquility, because a war that would decide the fate of the entire cosmos would erupt soon. Jing Qiu, I have something to do. I'll be going out for a while. Dongbu Shuaying stood up. Be careful. Jing Qiu stood up. Dongbu Shuaying nodded. Following that, he flew into the sky and tore open a time-space tunnel before disappearing. Jing Qiu looked up as the time-space tunnel in the sky closed up. Turning around, she disappeared into the cultivation room. She began cultivating. She wanted to transcend as soon as possible, so that the gap between her and her husband would be smaller. Hoo. As Dongbu Shuaying flew through the time-space tunnel, he remained vigilant. He was worried that the religious leaders from the ancestor mother religion would kill their way over. After all, a large number of protectors from the ancestor mother religion in the primal chaos flying ship had died in his hands. But even if they were to do it again, Dongbu Shuaying would not be lenient. Because the life forms in his cosmos had to live. His friends and loved ones had to live too. No matter how many enemies came, he had to kill them all. Dongbu Shuaying, we are here. The black gourd treasure spirit transmitted. They did not come to kill me? Dongbu Shuaying was slightly startled. He stopped and walked out of the time-space tunnel. It was a starry sky outside. According to the guidance of the treasure spirit, Dongbu Shuaying flew through the starry sky. Gradually, the starry sky in front of him started distorting. The huge starry sky distorted, forming a tunnel. As he flew through this tunnel, he could feel the space constantly changing. Furthermore, this body of his could no longer sense karma. It was just like when he entered the starting ground previously. His karma had disappeared. The Void Walker is formidable. He could actually sever karma. Dongbu Shuaying thought. According to the information I obtained previously, The starting ground was left behind by the creator of this cosmos. As for the inheritance ground left behind by the Void Walker, just this void tunnel alone was able to sever karma. The secret treasure of Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction could also conceal karma. But this was different. With the help of that treasure, he could only hide the karma of the owner. As for the land of inheritance, the starting ground, this was a vast region that forcefully severed the karma of countless lives in the universe. This was completely different. On a vast gray land, a distorted void tunnel appeared. Dongbua Shueying landed on the ground, and the tunnel disappeared. "We're here." The voice of the Black Gourd's artifact's spirit rang out. "We've arrived." Dongbua Shueying surveyed his surroundings. This gray land was boundless, and there seemed to be an endless amount of power hidden within. Although this power was deeply hidden, he could still sense it. Once it erupted, it would be even more terrifying than the sun and moon stars. Dongbua Shueying flipped his hand and took out the Black Gourd. "There's nothing here. How am I supposed to receive the inheritance?" The child with the red doo-doo appeared on the Black Gourd. The child looked around and giggled. "Just sit down." "All right, I'll listen to you." Dongbua Shueying placed the Black Gourd by the side. He then sat down cross-legged. The moment he sat on the gray land, he immediately felt a ripple coming from the depths of the land. It entered his sea of consciousness and tunneled into his true deity heart. This startled Dongbua Shueying. The true deity heart was the soul, and it was extremely important. True deities and avatars were connected by their souls. Illusory realm attacks and other techniques would affect the soul of the true deity. If the technique was strange and formidable enough, it was entirely possible to kill the true deity through the avatar's soul. Purgatory Great Commander's Purgatory Reincarnation was able to exterminate the avatars and true deities of the 6 ordinary protectors. Naturally, Dongbua Shueying was only startled. Thinking about the heaven-defying strength of the Void Walker, he relaxed. With such a huge gap in strength, it was too easy for the Void Walker to kill him. Wang, after this ripple entered his true deity heart, it rapidly spread out. His true deity heart was originally a smaller version of Dongbua Shueying. Its entire body was like colored glass, and there were many sharp edges revolving around it. It was just that there was a black aura spreading within. And at this moment, as the ripple seeped in, the black aura rapidly dissipated. It was like snow melting under the sunlight. Furthermore, this smaller version of Dongbua Shueying's body, that was like colored glass, had many gray strands appearing. These strands covered every single part of his body, forming a humanoid three-dimensional array diagram. First level of Walker's hidden secret ? Dongbua Shueying immediately sensed the information contained within. Void Walker. It was an extremely unique cultivation system, like the Ancestor Mother Religion system, or the Laws and Profound Mysteries system. These were common cultivation systems. Many sentient beings could cultivate them. Even a mortal could cultivate to become a transcendent. Such a system was suitable for many sentient beings. Even though it was common, if one cultivated it to a profound level, one's strength would similarly be unfathomable. As for the Void Walker lineage, it was extremely difficult to cultivate it. One might not even be able to find a suitable cultivator in a cosmos. That senior Void Walker, the silver-haired golden-horned man, had passed by this cosmos and discovered that this cosmos was created by forefather Tianyu. He also discovered that this cosmos had given birth to a monster, like the Lake Heart Island Master. The silver-haired golden-horned man had such foresight that he was astonished at the terrifying strength of the Lake Heart Island Master. Even though the Lake Heart Island Master had cultivated for a shorter period of time, he was just a step away from forefather Tianyu and the silver-haired golden-horned man. He felt that the sentient beings in this cosmos had great potential. That was why he left behind this opportunity. As such, Dongbua Shueying passed through many trials and obtained this inheritance. The Walker's hidden secret had a total of 60 levels. Every 10 levels was a big level. It did not require the laws and profound mysteries. Just like the Ancestor Mother Religion system, the protectors had lower realms and could fight with apex paragons and even Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction. Even if his realm remained at the Paragon realm, By relying on the walker's hidden secret, Dongbo Shuiying could reach a higher level. The 11th level of the walker's hidden secret was equivalent to the ruler realm. By then he could transcend. He did not need the laws and profound mysteries. By relying on the Void Walker system, he could similarly transcend. Naturally, this system had an extremely high threshold. It was hard to cultivate, but the moment he succeeded, he would become incredibly powerful. Even the information left behind by that silver-haired golden-horned senior indicated that he had only cultivated to the 55th level despite his overwhelming strength. The first level. Dongbo Shuiying closed his eyes. Currently, he only had the first level of the cultivation method. After all, he had not even reached the first level and was unable to accept the complete inheritance. Because that three-dimensional array diagram was within his true deity heart, he could easily sense it. When he sensed it with his mind, there were millions and millions of spatial obstructions. Even outside of this cultivator cosmos, the vast yet cold and lonely primal chaos void descended with power. This energy had existed for an unknown period of time. It seemed to have existed since the very beginning of time. It was ancient and cold without any warmth. It did not seem to be harmful. But when it descended, it passed through the layers of obstructions and descended into this cosmos. When it arrived at the inheritance ground, it was greatly weakened. Even so, a gray energy appeared around Dongbo Shuiying's body. This gray energy seemed cold and desolate, but it contained a terrifying corrosive power. When it came into contact with Dongbo Shuiying's body, even the myriad devil true body could not withstand it. His skin, muscles, tendons, and bones were rapidly corroded. He hurriedly grabbed the black gourd and flew up to evade it. The entire boundless gray land was trembling. However, as Dongbo Shuiying flew away, and even used the void evasion technique of the Voidwalker lineage to increase the distance between them, he turned his head and looked at the gray land in a daze. In front of him, amidst the vast void, an incomparably huge gray humanoid creature was currently sleeping in the void. Now it slowly stood up and opened its eyes. Its body was incomparably huge, far surpassing any creature that Dongbo Shuiying had ever seen before. I was on the surface of his body just now. Dongbo Shuiying could not help but ask. Amen. The red undergarment child on the black gourd nodded. Whose body is this? Dongbo Shuiying was shocked. It's just an incarnation. The red undergarment child replied. Dongbo Shuiying stared at it in shock. The gray humanoid creature had already stood up. Looking at its appearance carefully, it looked very similar to the silver-haired golden-horned man that he had seen previously. It opened its eyes. Those gray eyes looked at Dongbo Shuiying. It was simply too huge. Even its gray eyes were bigger than the sun star. The pressure from such a huge incarnation caused Dongbo Shuiying to hold his breath. With this level of strength, it was definitely possible for it to destroy the universe with a flip of its hand. This is a small universe space that I have opened in your universe. The gray humanoid creature said. After you receive the inheritance, it will collapse. Chapter 743. The gray humanoid suddenly turned silent. He only looked at Dongbo Shuiying attentively. With such a huge existence staring at him, Dongbo Shuiying felt slightly uncomfortable. Who would have thought that I, Guqi, would actually have a disciple? The gray humanoid said. The feeling of having a disciple is really weird. Guqi is my name. The incomparably huge gray humanoid continued. This is also my first time accepting a disciple, and I do not know how to teach one. You have the protective treasure, and in a while, you will obtain the complete walker's hidden secret. After that, you will have to rely on yourself to cultivate it. But the cultivation system of your cosmos focuses on comprehending the laws and profound mysteries. Once you cultivate it to the later stages, your strength will become formidable. I suggest that you continue cultivating it. Don't give up on your original cultivation system. Dongbo Shuiying obediently nodded. Indeed. In terms of combat arts, their cultivation system was indeed strong. It was just that they were weaker in other aspects. For instance, their bodies were far weaker than the ancestor mother religion, much less the Voidwalker lineage. Just by cultivating the first level of the Voidwalker lineage, Walker's hidden secret, Dongbo Shuiying could feel his physical strength exploding. It was comparable to an apex protector. In addition to the advantage of comprehending the laws and profound mysteries, he could even fight against a holy protector. And this was just the first level. If he cultivated a few more levels, he might even be able to fight against a ruler at the Paragon realm. The Voidwalker and laws and profound mystery systems were indeed complementary. In the future, when you discover other cultivation systems, you can use them as a reference. If you meet one that is suitable for you, you can cultivate it as well. The huge humanoid was slightly long-winded as he instructed. Cultivation systems are also created. Different systems will ultimately lead to the same destination. You can learn from the experiences of others. It will be of great help to you. I do not know much about teaching disciples, and I am only giving you some suggestions. Alright, your cosmos is created by that old man Tianyu. Hence, you are naturally of his faction. Currently his faction is quite strong. With Tianyu and Lake Heart Island Sword Master overseeing it, you can rely on them in the future. It's much better than relying on a loner like me, the giant humanoid creature said with a smile. Dongbo Shuiying understood that the incarnation in front of him should be able to share memories with the original body. Therefore, Forefather Tianyu and Lake Heart Island Sword Master should be on the same level. Tianyu's faction is in the 7-star oceanic sacred world. The gray humanoid continued. Actually, old man Tianyu is also very concerned about you guys. He has also left behind some guidance. If you are strong enough, you will also receive guidance. He will guide you through the primal chaos void and head towards the distant 7-star oceanic sacred world. As for me, my hometown is another sacred world. I took part in a battle that engulfed the entire Saints world. The entire Saints world shattered into several pieces, and I fled into chaotic space with heavy injuries. Only when I was heavily injured did I sense that I might die at any time, which was why I decided to leave behind a legacy. Fortunately, I survived my weakened state and managed to keep my life. My temperament is erratic, and I wander around. In addition to the previous battle, I've made a few enemies, so I don't dare to stay in the same place. So don't come looking for me. Furthermore, don't tell me that you are my disciple. Once this news is made public, I'm afraid you will lose your life. My few enemies are not any weaker than me. If you bring disaster to me, my only disciple will be gone. I will be sad, and not knowing when I will be able to accept another disciple. Also, the gray humanoid could not help but say, if you really want to know where I am, you can ask Tianyu and Lake Heart Island Sword Master if you meet them in the future. They will know. Alright, that's all. Kid, prepare to receive the legacy. The gray humanoid looked at Dongbo Shuiying and could not help but say, up till now, you haven't even addressed me as master, right? Although I didn't teach you much, and the Walker's hidden secret wasn't created by me, I have still imparted the Tao to you. I have also imparted the Tao protection treasure to you. Dongbo Shuiying felt awkward. Previously, he had to go through the Master Recognition Black Gourd test. If he did not pass the test, he would not be qualified to receive the legacy. Therefore, Dongbo Shuiying had never thought of himself as this senior's disciple. Now that he had just refined the gourd and was here, his mentality had not changed yet. No matter what, this powerful Voidwalker Guqi, who had just accepted a disciple, had done him a great favor and was very concerned about his safety. Dongbo Shuiying willingly shouted, Disciple Dongbo Shuiying greets Master. And, you might have a few masters, but you are my only disciple. Remember, keep it a secret. Don't expose yourself. I, your master, am currently in quite a bit of trouble. I am still wandering around and hiding. The gray humanoid smiled and instructed, following which, his huge body gradually turned transparent. Countless densely packed silk threads appeared on his body. Countless silk threads formed this huge gray humanoid creature. Simply put, this gray humanoid creature, was actually a gigantic array diagram. It was many times more complicated than the first level of the Walker's hidden secret. It was even more mysterious than the circulation of the material world, the sun star, and the moon star. This was left behind by the most ancient creator of the Voidwalker lineage. Even Wuxia had only cultivated up to the 55th level. Because he had not cultivated to the pinnacle, he was unable to easily impart his Tao. He could only leave behind an incarnation that contained a trace of his soul. That soul contained the complete Walker's hidden secret. Only then could he impart his Tao. Boom! The huge gray humanoid creature instantly shrunk. Eventually, it turned into a stream of light and flew into the middle of Dongbo Ying's eyebrows. Wang! He could only feel his consciousness buzzing. Regardless of whether it was his main body or his incarnation, both of them instantly lost their consciousness. Nobody knew how long had passed. Dongbo Shuang finally regained his consciousness. He immediately looked at his true deity heart. Currently, his true deity heart was like glass. The Walker's hidden secret had completely fused with every part of his true deity heart, making it hard for him to detect it. Currently, he only knew about the second level of the Walker's hidden secret. Once he mastered the first level, he would naturally know about the next level. This Walker's hidden secret was one with his soul. No one would be able to take it away from him. Amen. Dongbo Shuang looked at the vast world around him in shock. The entire world was gradually collapsing. However, there was a force enveloping him, preventing him from getting hurt. It was as though a house was collapsing. This small-scale universe was collapsing. Cracks were forming, and the speed of the collapse was getting faster and faster. Finally, everything was destroyed. As for the protected Dongbo Shuang, he didn't receive any impact at all. In front of him was a starry sky. I'm within the territory of the temporal island. Dongbo Shuang sensed the karma and immediately confirmed his location. I didn't expect this Voidwalker master of mine to participate in a huge battle and cause the so-called sacred world to shatter into a few pieces. This level is indeed too far away from me. Dongbo Shuang sighed. Although they had only known each other for a short period of time, he had a good impression of this master of his. Ever since he started cultivating, his true disciples were Bloodblade, Sacred Master Crimson Dust, and this Voidwalker Wuxia. Naturally, after he became a transcendent, even though Qiu Qibai Gongyu and Sikong Yang had given him pointers, those were pointers given to a group of transcendents including himself. It wasn't a true disciple, and among the three teachers, Bloodblade was unquestionably the closest to him. Voidwalker Wuxia was second. Even though he had only interacted with him for a short period of time, this person was the strongest, but had no experience in teaching disciples. And Sacred Master Crimson Dust was the one who was the most distant from him. After all, when he entered the Crimson Rock Mountain, Sacred Master Crimson Dust had already died. Between cultivators, the relationship between a teacher and a disciple was extremely important. No matter what, this teacher is still very concerned about me. Furthermore, I am actually his first disciple. I wonder what the origins of his enemies are. He actually didn't allow me to reveal my relationship with him, afraid of implicating me. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. Everything was temporarily too far away from him. Within the vast palace hall of the Ancestor Mother religion, the fanged religious leader sat cross-legged by himself with his eyes closed. His heartbeat reverberated across the entire palace hall, causing it to reverberate faintly. Suddenly, religious leader, Dongbo Shuang has appeared. He is currently within the territory of the temporal island. A message transmitted over. That resounding heartbeat abruptly disappeared. The fanged religious leader opened his eyes. They were filled with cold killing intent. He has finally appeared. Chapter 744. Very soon, the 5 religious leaders arrived at the fanged religious leader. Dongbo Shuang has appeared. The fanged religious leader coldly said, he is within the territory of the temporal island. Hence we have to attack fast. If we are slightly slower, the temporal island lord might arrive. In terms of time-space travel, the temporal island lord is the most formidable. At the same time, Even though Dongbo Shui Ying's black gourd is clumsy, its power is immense. The moment he reacts, he might retaliate with the black gourd, delaying us. Hence, we have to be fast. Before Dongbo Shuiying can react, the attack will arrive and he will die instantly. The fanged religious leader said. Rest assured, with the 5 religious leaders working together, even if he has the so-called Tao of Mirage and the myriad devil true body, he will still die. A black-armored female religious leader coldly said. We have already planned this out. He will die in an instant. These 5 religious leaders were filled with confidence. With their strength, the 5 of them could easily fight against Bloodblade. Even though Dongbo Shuiying was formidable in survivability and could survive against rulers, but with the 5 of them working together, they had analyzed the information provided by Bloody Ruler Nile and felt that they could win. Then let's move, the fanged religious leader said. Go. Who? The 5 religious leaders disappeared. Within the time-space tunnel, Dongbo Shuiying was currently flying at high speed. Even though he cultivated the walker's hidden secret, allowing his body to be compatible with the primal chaos void, making him proficient in the void maneuver, his speed was too fast. He would most likely arrive at the Black Fog Sea in a few moments. The moment this speed was revealed, it would incur the shock of the rulers and religious leaders. Now was not the time to reveal it. He had to save his formidable moves for the crucial moment. Amen. Dongbo Shuiying suddenly frowned. Hong, the surrounding time-space tunnel distorted. Hong. A terrifying and strange unseen attack descended soundlessly. It originated from an extremely majestic location. It was beyond the range of his perception. It descended very quickly. Even though Dongbo Shuiying's life aura was exceptionally strong, and it was weakened by his life aura when it descended, it still managed to pierce into Dongbo Shuiying's true deity heart. Now his true deity heart was like colored glass, and it contained the complete walker's hidden secret. The walker's hidden secret was an amazing secret technique, but at the same time, it was fused with one's soul, and had many protections for it. Previously, due to the backlash from using the black gourd, just the first level of walker's hidden secret was enough to melt the black mist. Now that he had the complete walker's hidden secret, it could be said that it was extremely difficult to ambush a void walker in the aspect of the soul. Boom! His true deity heart quivered, and that invisible attack was dispersed. Dongbo Shuiying stared in shock at the distorted space-time tunnel in front of him, and a sharp saber that appeared out of thin air. The saber was already right in front of his eyes. Moreover, there were surging green lightning bolts on the saber. These lightning bolts contained a terrifying destructive power that far surpassed the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's destructive lightning. At the same time, a strange green mist appeared in the surrounding space. The green mist had already reached his side. The attack was too fast. According to the original plan, Dongbo Shuiying should have instantly lost his consciousness after being cursed, and he would not be able to resist at all. But at this moment, Dongbo Shuiying was very clear-headed. Even if he was clear-headed, he would not have the time to take out the black gourd and pull out the cork. Because the weapon was already right in front of him, he did not even have the time to think. He could only rely on his instincts to survive. His body instantly disappeared. He entered the Mirage World. After entering the Mirage World, his body was still faintly illusory. This was the control a Void Walker had over the Void. What? I am actually unable to use the Void Evasion technique? Dongbo Shuiying was slightly startled. He originally wanted to teleport in a small area, but he discovered that he could not use the Void Evasion technique at all. For the sake of facing the Temporal Island Lord and Bloodshed God Emperor, the religious leaders of the Ancestor Mother religion had completely suppressed and solidified the surrounding space. It was possible that only the Temporal Island Lord, who grasped the Tao of time-space, could teleport. The other rulers could not do so, including the Bloodshed God Emperor, whose Tao of Shadow was eternal. For instance, Dongbo Shuiying's Void Evasion technique originated from the Primal Chaos Void. It was indeed amazing, but he had just cultivated it to the first level. His control over the Void was still too weak. The sharp saber brought along the green lightning as it hacked into the Mirage World. Even after its power was reduced, it still hacked onto the body of Dongbo Shuiying. Hung Long Long, a terrifying power was exerted on his body. That green fog permeated into the mirage world and wrapped around the body of Dongbo Shuiying. Nevertheless, the void-form body of Dongbo Shuiying had dissipated most of the attack. Those who were not strong enough would not be able to touch the body of a mirage walker. Under the strike of the saber, Dongbo Shuiying was flung back at high speed. The black armor on his body had long been shattered. A huge wound appeared on his chest, and fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. What? The 5 religious leaders were all stunned. They worked together to attack. Yet they only injured Dongbo Shuiying? Teacher, I am being ambushed by the ancestor mother religion. There should be a few religious leaders. Dongbo Shuiying immediately transmitted a message to Bloodblade. It was not that he did not want to transmit a message, but that the ambush came too quickly. He did not even know how many enemies there were. He flipped his hand and took out the black gourd. He pulled out the cork and looked ahead with anger. Surrounding and killing me? A group of religious leaders surrounding and killing me? Die for me. Dongbo Shuiying grabbed the black gourd. Hung, at that moment, a black ripple rushed out from the mouth of the gourd. Under the control of Dongbo Shuiying, this ripple spread out in all directions with Dongbo Shuiying at the center. After all, after recognizing him as its master, he could control this black gourd as he wished. Countless black ripples engulfed the surrounding 50 million kilometers. Careful. Not good. The religious leaders who were ambushing Shuiying immediately suffered. According to what they knew, the attacks of this black gourd were relatively clumsy. It only aimed in a single direction, but this time, the ripple spread out in all directions. Quick! Under the help of one of the religious leaders who specialized in controlling space, they brought their comrades to evade and escape. Even though their bodies were stronger than the holy protectors, they were still injured by the black ripple. They did not dare to go against the black ripple, because the closer they got to the mouth of the black gourd, the more concentrated the black ripple would be, and the stronger its power would be. Instead, the further they were, the more scattered the black ripple would be, and the weaker its power would be. What is happening? The 5 sect masters were also only lightly injured. They were all a bit at a loss, not daring to believe what they were seeing. How could this sneak attack result like this? The killing curse did not work? Their combined attack could only injure Dongbo Shuiying? Unless this Dongbo Shuiying's survivability was comparable to Monarch Hex crickets? Hurry up and leave. The rulers will definitely arrive soon. The 5 religious leaders did not dare to hesitate. Dongbo Shuiying held onto the black gourd. The black ripple spread out in all directions, tearing the surrounding void into particles. Everything around him was destroyed. Nothing could stop it. Snow Eagle. A voice transmitted over. I'll chase after them first. These ancestor mother religion religious leaders are truly daring. Bloodblade's furious voice transmitted over. He did not reveal himself. Instead, he chased after the 5 religious leaders. And lastly, I'll say this softly actually, I want the monthly votes star. Chapter 745. There was a bug in the previous chapter. Dongbo Shuiying should have 3 teachers: Bloodblade, Voidwalker Guqi, and Sacred Master Crimson Dust. Sacred Master Crimson Dust had already died when Dongbo Shuiying entered the Crimson Rock Mountain to become his disciple. Thus, he could only be considered a teacher in name, and had never guided him in his cultivation. As his teacher Bloodblade chased after the religious leaders of the ancestor mother religion, Dongbo Shuiying heaved a sigh of relief. With a thought, the ripples emitting from the black gourd stopped. He then stuffed the cork back into the gourd. It's fortunate that a group of religious leaders worked together to deal with me. Fortunately, I've cultivated the walker's hidden secret. Otherwise, I would have died in a single move. Dongbo Shuiying looked at his chest. The wound had already healed. The extreme annihilation mysterious body armor on his body made him shake his head. The help of the armor is getting weaker and weaker. That time, I only obtained a soldier-ranked cultivation technique. With his strength, he might be able to obtain a captain-ranked cultivation technique if he went to the Destruction Eden. But Dongbo Shuang no longer cared. After cultivating the walker's hidden secret, his body had become stronger than the myriad devil true body. The toughness of his skin was not any weaker than the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor. Shuang believed that after cultivating to the 5th or 6th level, the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor would become useless. His body started to turn illusory and translucent. Dongbo Shuang nodded inwardly. This was also a survival technique of the Voidwalker lineage. After cultivating it to a higher level, the enemy's weapon would only touch the void. It could not touch Dongbo Shuiying's body at all. It's a pity that he was still at the 1st level, and he was still weak. If he just relied on the Voidwalker lineage, he would definitely not be able to resist against the joint attack of 5 religious leaders. Fortunately, he had the apex Tao of Mirage. Within the Mirage world, the enemy's attack might be able to forcefully penetrate through, but its power would be greatly reduced. This was the formidable aspect of the laws and profound mysteries. Even Gu Qi said that comprehending the laws and profound mysteries system would make one extremely formidable to the later stages. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying fluctuation came from afar. Dongbo Shuang abruptly looked up. Teacher is fighting with those religious leaders? Xiao. Silently, he held the black gourd in his hand and quickly rushed over. He did not dare to move too quickly, so he gradually approached. He could not casually intervene in a battle of this level. The reason why he wanted to get close was that he had the ability to protect himself, and the black gourd might be able to help. Boom! Invisible waves swept out in all directions. One by one, the desolate stars trembled slightly before turning into dust and returning to nothingness. Among them, there was a star with life. There were many mortals and transcendents on it, and the strongest among them was a demigod transcendent. On the stars, there were babbling children, old people enjoying their old age, struggling young people, lovers in love, and cultivators adventuring. None of them knew that a great crisis was coming. Buzz! A strand of remnant shockwave swept over. This was the remnant shockwave from the battle between the bloodshed god emperor and the 5 religious leaders of the ancestor mother religion. Even if they were far away, stage 1 or 2 world deities would instantly die, much less the beings on this planet. Set. Dongbo Shuang appeared in the starry sky beside the star with life. Just by looking at that unseen shockwave with his eyes, his willpower caused the starry sky in front of him to distort, easily dissipating the shockwave. After all, it was just a shockwave that was extremely far away. Currently, Dongbo Shuang could barely fight against rulers, and he could survive the attacks from the 5 religious leaders. The disturbance from the battle is huge, Dongbo Shuang thought. Snow Eagle, come over. A voice sounded. Dongbo Shuang immediately teleported over. He was already very close to the battlefield. The void was filled with particles. Currently, these particles were gradually regaining their calmness. The starry sky was also gradually returning to normal. There were no impurities, dust, or stars in the surroundings. The crimson-robed Bloodblade stood there. He was emitting a baleful aura that enveloped the surrounding void, causing it to be covered in a layer of blood. Seeing Dongbo Shuiying's appearance and the surrounding baleful aura, Bloodblade reacted and retracted his aura. Teacher's aura is so terrifying. Dongbo Shuiying mumbled inwardly. This was the first time his teacher revealed such a terrifying baleful aura in front of him. Usually he would restrain it. Not bad. Even with the 5 religious leaders working together, you are still able to preserve the life of this avatar. Bloodblade exclaimed with a smile. My combat power is slightly weaker, and I have to rely on the black gourd. But I am still confident in my survivability. Dongbo Shuang said. Perhaps their understanding of me is still too shallow. Bloodblade nodded. That's right. Your survival techniques must be kept a secret. The more the better. That way, you will have a higher chance of surviving in dangerous situations. The moment it is made public, the enemies will be able to set a trap against you. Even Bamboo Mountain is a traitor. Currently, we do not dare to trust our own people. Dongbo Shuang nodded too. The betrayal of Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had greatly stimulated the entire cultivator faction. Suddenly, a figure appeared by the side. It was the black-robed, black-haired cold male, Temporal Island Lord. Temporal Island Lord looked around him. The surrounding starry sky changed unpredictably. The previous battle scenes flashed by almost instantaneously. Temporal Island Lord looked at Bloodblade. Bloodblade, these religious leaders are here to ambush your disciple? Why didn't you tell me that they are in my territory? Since they dared to ambush you in your territory, they must have made preparations to deal with you, Bloodblade said. And as long as they have a countermeasure, you will not be able to save Snow Eagle even if you face the Ancestor Mother religion alone. Temporal Island Lord frowned slightly, but he did not say anything. He knew too. He was unparalleled in the Tao of space-time, but he was clearly lacking in other aspects. You do have some skills. Temporal Island Lord looked at Dongbo Shuiying. You are able to survive the ambush of 5 religious leaders. I specialize in survival. Dongbo Shuiying chuckled. Ha ha ha. To be able to survive the ambush of 5 religious leaders, there should be no one in our cosmos who can deal with this disciple of mine, Bloodblade said. Temporal Island Lord looked at Bloodblade. Others might not be able to do it, but he felt that the current Bloodblade should be able to do it. He had fought with Bloodblade for so many years, but he was clear that the gap between them was huge. Furthermore, Bloodblade had created the Void Twin Extreme Array. He had already touched the threshold of a higher realm, and could be said to be half a step into it. In the past, he could still rely on his Tao of space-time to fight against Bloodblade. But now that Bloodblade was half a step into a higher realm, he didn't even have the will to fight anymore. Let alone him, even Primal Master and Abyss Primogenitor didn't have the will to fight anymore. They felt that they would no longer be able to catch up to Bloodblade. Amen. Temporal Island Lord frowned as he looked into the distance. What's the matter? Bloodblade asked. You might be strong in other aspects, but in terms of space-time, I am the best. Temporal Island Lord said coldly. After which, he took a step and appeared in the starry sky far away. Bloodblade and Dongbo Shuiying rushed over as well. Temporal Island Lord looked at the starry sky and frowned. After which he waved his hand, Selah. The starry sky in front of him was abruptly torn apart, revealing a pitch-black circular hole. This circular hole was roughly 100 meters in diameter. It was pitch black inside, and it seemed to lead to an unknown place. In the surroundings, there was even a gray fog rolling about. Cosmos Passageway. Bloodblade was startled. After your battle, the surroundings should be empty and calm. But no matter how I look at it, I feel that something is wrong. There really is a Cosmos Passageway here. Temporal Island Lord smiled coldly. Chapter 746. Temporal Island Lord looked at the pitch-black circular hole in the starry sky in front of him. He casually said, "It might be because the battle between Bloodshed and the 5 religious leaders was too huge that it affected time-space and formed this time-space tunnel. Or it might have been hidden here since a long time ago. It seems to be a small-scale cosmos tunnel." Bloodblade extended his right hand. His right hand expanded as he extended it into the cosmos tunnel. The moment his palm entered the tunnel, the surrounding dusky fog began trembling. An unseen energy was repelling it. It is similar to what I expected. Even true gods who have transcended cannot enter, Bloodblade said. At the same time, he turned to the confused Dongbo Shuiying and explained with a smile. The stronger one is, the greater the pressure on the cosmos tunnel. According to what I know, cosmos tunnels are usually split into 3 levels. The lowest level is like this one, and it must be a being who has yet to transcend. They are still within the river of time, and are protected by the cosmos. The second level is where ordinary true gods and paragons can enter. The third level is also the highest level, and even rulers can enter. And this one in front of us is the lowest level. Bloodblade shook his head. Its value is limited. If it is a large-scale cosmos tunnel, it is still very precious. After all, it is rare for one to be able to go to another cosmos. Like me, Monarch Green, and Purgatory Ruler, we have all gone to other cosmos, and had a huge breakthrough in our strength. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. Senior disciple brother Monarch Green, had gone to another cosmos before breaking through to become a ruler. According to the investigation of the Black Gourd treasure spirit, he should be ranked third in the cultivator cosmos. Dongbo Shuiying, you have yet to transcend. You can go and try. Temporal Island Lord said. Right. Bloodblade added. You can go and try. But the war with the ancestor mother religion? Dongbo Shuiying could not help but ask. Temporal Island Lord shook his head. You should not participate in it. With your current strength, you might lose your life in a large-scale war. By then, it won't be a sneak attack by a few religious leaders. Instead, it will be the final battle of the entire ancestor mother religion. Bloodblade said. You can join, but just listen to my orders. Snow Eagle's Black Gourd will be of some help. The Temporal Island Lord was startled. He looked at the Bloodblade and curled his lips. Fine, he's your disciple. You decide. With that, the Temporal Island Lord disappeared. Bloodblade looked at Dongbo Shuiying, chuckling. If you wish to participate in the war with the religious leaders, you'll have to cultivate more. Every ruler has grasped a Tao at the eternal realm, and their Tao has become a law, forming a law domain. Their words are laws, and they are different from paragons in battle. You should have experienced a thing or two after being ambushed this time. The religious leaders from the ancestor mother religion are much more clumsy than us rulers. Understood. Dongbo Shuiying replied solemnly. Yes. Previously, when he was ambushed, by the time he discovered the enemy's weapon was already in front of him. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even discover the enemy's true body. Naturally, it was also due to the other party working together to ambush him, but it also showed the gap in strength between them. Even if the other party wanted to ambush him, his mirage world could not discover the enemy. I can't be arrogant. With my current strength, I can barely wrestle with a ruler without relying on the Black Gourd, but I would still lose. Furthermore, it would be a war between races. Dongbo Shuiying was inwardly startled. I'll send you back first to prevent these shameless ancestor mother religion from ambushing us again, Bloodblade said. At the same time, he constructed an array around him. The array enveloped and concealed the cosmos passage. This is the method to enter and exit the array. If the ancestor mother religion were to come here, I'll definitely discover them. Dongbo Shuiying received the method to enter and exit the array through his communication treasure. Following that, Bloodblade brought Dongbo Shuiying along and teleported through time-space. He first sent Dongbo Shuiying back to the Black Fog Sea, before returning to the Bloodshed God Palace. Within the vast palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the Fang religious leader sat cross-legged looking at the 5 religious leaders who appeared in front of him. All 5 of them were injured, with the black-armored female religious leader suffering the heaviest injuries. There was a huge hole in her abdomen that penetrated through her body, though it was currently healing. Why are you in such a sorry state? The Fang religious leader looked at them. We met Bloodblade. He suddenly appeared and ambushed us, causing us to suffer some losses. Where's the Black Gourd? Dongbo Shuiying suffered from our joint ambush, yet he was only injured. He immediately used the Black Gourd, causing the 5 of us to suffer from the ripples from the Black Gourd. Our ambush did not kill him, and it is impossible for us to kill him within a short period. We were also worried that Bloodblade would wait for the rulers to arrive before retreating. Nevertheless, Bloodblade still chased after us. The religious leaders felt sullen. The 5 of them worked together to kill a opening realm brat, yet they could not kill him. The Fang religious leader turned silent. He did not ask any further. Since they failed, it meant that Dongbo Shuiying's survival capabilities were much more formidable than what was reported in the intelligence reports. Then let's take a rest. The Fang religious leader nonchalantly said. This time, we dealt with Dongbo Shuiying for 2 reasons. Firstly, to vent our anger, and secondly, to get that Black Gourd. Even though the Black Gourd has its uses, it doesn't matter if we don't get it. Now that our ancestor mother religion has been exposed, and the cultivator cosmos knows of our goal, there is no need for us to hide anymore. Let's make full use of our time. Before Bloodblade's Void Twin Extreme Array discovers us, we must frantically gather resources and prepare for the final battle. Amen. The 5 religious leaders nodded. Previously, they were afraid of being exposed. Now that they had fallen out with the other party, they naturally had to frantically gather resources. Let's do our best. With the endless accumulation of our cosmos, and with all the religious leaders risking their lives, we have a chance of reversing the situation. We will kill all the rulers and win the war. We will erect the Ancestor Mother altar. And from then on, this cosmos will belong to us. The eyes of the fanged religious leader were burning with madness. Let's wait for the final battle. The 5 religious leaders were also burning with fighting spirit. Bloodshed God Palace, within the wooden courtyard. Primal Master, Abyss Primogenitor, and Bloodblade were all here. The Ancestor Mother religion is becoming more and more ruthless. They are too lazy to conceal their actions. Primal Master frowned. In the past, they have been gathering resources in the dark. I'm afraid they will become even more unbridled in the future. The Bloodshed Tavern and Temporal Temple are both gathering resources. Furthermore, they are monitoring the entire cosmos. The moment they discover anyone wantonly gathering resources, they will immediately investigate. If they discover any traitors, they will be captured alive. If not, they will be killed. Bloodblade coldly said. Abyss Primogenitor said with a grand voice, Bloodblade, your avatar technique has been learned by Primal and I. Who are you planning to impart it to next? Bloodblade pondered. He said, we have to discuss this properly. Honestly speaking, with Bamboo Mountain appearing amongst the paragons, I am also worried that there will be traitors amongst the rulers. Primal and Primogenitor, the 2 of you are the most ancient rulers. It is impossible for you to be traitors. That time, the Ancestor Mother religion has yet to invade. But I am not 100% confident of dealing with some rulers. Amen. Abyss Primogenitor nodded. In terms of cultivation time, I am the earliest in our dark abyss, followed by Purgatory ruler. I have a good relationship with Purgatory, and I have watched him rise step by step. I trust him. And finally there is Bloody ruler Nile. Nile is the youngest, and has the best relationship with you, Bloodblade. Pangy is also impossible for him to be a traitor. He is one of the fierce 5 of the deity world. In terms of cultivation time, he is close to me, Primal Master said. Empress Qian, he is definitely not a problem. I still trust Temporal Island Lord. Myriad God Palace Head has cultivated quite early too. Instead it is Monarch Green, your eldest disciple Monarch Green. His personality seems to have changed greatly, but he should not be a traitor. If he was, he would have easily helped the Ancestor Mother religion obtain the Primal Chaos flying ship when he was still a paragon. From what you said, it seems there are no suspicions. Abyss Primogenitor asked. How many Ancestor Mother religion have reincarnated? How hard is it to cultivate to the ruler realm? Bloodblade said. There are 2 possibilities. 1, there are no traitors. 2, if there is a traitor, then it is Bloody ruler Nile. As for Monarch Green, I trust him a lot. And I have already imparted the avatar technique to him. You suspect Nile? Primal and Abyss Primogenitor were startled. Right. Bloodblade nodded. He then chuckled. It is good for us to have a traitor. We can make use of him to make the Ancestor Mother religion suffer a huge loss. Even though the war was about to erupt. But the cultivators were clearly very confident. The Primal Chaos flying ship was a killing move. Bloodblade's avatar technique was similarly a killing move. By relying on the avatar technique in Bloodblade's Cosmos Stone Heart to cultivate, every ruler could have 3 bodies. This allowed the overall combat power of the cultivator rulers to soar. The Ancestor Mother religion and the cultivators were both preparing for the final battle. The moment it began, it would determine the fate of the entire cosmos. And Dongbua Shueying returned to the Black Fog Sea to accompany his wife. Jingqiu and her husband walked by the lake. It is a rare opportunity to go to another cosmos. Furthermore, you have said that we are going to war with the Ancestor Mother religion soon. It is naturally better for you to be stronger. This is a small-scaled cosmos passage. I'll go over first and scout the path. I'll bring you along when the time comes. Dongbua Shueying said. I'll bring Qing Yao and Yuer too. Jingqiu said. Amen, let's go together. Dongbua Shueying chuckled. He would naturally not forget about his family when he had such an opportunity. All right, it's time for me to go. We can't waste any time now, Dongbo Shuang said. Be careful, Jingqiu said. Rest assured, Dongbo Shuang chuckled before flying into the sky. He tore through the time-space passage and left. But Dongbo Shuang was not in a rush to leave. Instead, he returned to the material realm Xia people's world. He left behind the black gourd, the starting ground talisman, the blood serpent spear, and other important treasures. He only brought along some commonly used items. Even his weapon was a violet wooden spear he obtained from the protector of the ancestor mother religion. It was originally the weapon of an apex protector from the ancestor mother religion. Even though it could not compare to the blood serpent spear, it was sufficiently tough and sharp. He did not dare to bring anything too precious. After all, everything in the other cosmos was unknown. He was afraid of dying there and losing his important treasures. There was silence in the starry sky. Dongbo Shuang turned into a stream of light as he easily penetrated through the arrays constructed by Bloodblade. Soon, he saw that pitch-black cosmos passage. There was a gray fog rolling around the entrance of the cosmos passage. Let's go in and have a look. Dongbo Shuang was filled with anticipation. He followed suit and flew towards the entrance of the cosmos passage. End of this chapter, ***. Chapter 747. Dusky fog was rolling within the pitch-black 100-meter-wide hole. As Dongbo Shuang flew in, he felt a warm energy caressing him. He had an epiphany. This is the operating law of the cosmos? He had yet to transcend. He was a life form within the river of time, and the operating law of the cosmos would definitely protect him. Xiao. As he flew within the hole, everything in front of him was pitch black. Occasionally, there would be a distorted colorful light. The distortion of space-time made Dongbo Shuang feel uncomfortable. Within the cosmos passage, his perception of time was distorted. Every moment felt long, yet it felt like a long time. It felt like a short time. Amidst the strange distortion, Dongbo Shuang finally saw light coming from the end of the cosmos passage. Furthermore, an unseen law energy began enveloping him. Different from the cultivator cosmos, this was the operating law of another cosmos. Amen. Dongbo Shuang was slightly startled. Before setting off, his teacher Bloodblade had transmitted a set of intelligence to him. It was a simple and crude piece of general knowledge regarding entering other cosmos. Most people would be rejected after entering another cosmos. They might not even be able to absorb the world energy. And some cosmos would reject outsiders to the extreme. They might even lead the life forms in their own cosmos to surround and kill the outsiders. According to what Guqian Luo said, the ancestor mother religion cosmos is extremely xenophobic. The moment they occupy our cosmos, not only will we be unable to absorb any energy, we will also have nowhere to hide. We will be constantly surrounded. According to the intelligence I've gathered, there are fewer xenophobic cosmoses. Most of them would simply reject outsiders, preventing them from absorbing world energy. According to legends, there are cosmoses that do not reject outsiders. The intelligence provided by Bloodblade was not much, but Dongbo Shuang had firmly remembered it in his heart. This cosmos, just by feeling the operating law of another cosmos enveloping him, Dongbo Shuang could feel an unseen acceptance. There was no rejection at all. I've brought many deity crystals with me. I'm just afraid I can't absorb world energy. Dongbo Shuang could not help but sigh. From the looks of it, the universe that I've arrived at is very tolerant of outsiders. Even if he really couldn't absorb it, Dongbo Shuang wasn't worried. This was because apart from bringing a large number of god crystals with him, he mainly relied on the walker's hidden secret and the laws of mysteries that he had comprehended. When cultivating the walker's hidden secret, it guided the power of the primal chaos void to descend and absorb and refine it. No matter which universe it was, it could guide the power of the primal chaos void. This was not a power that belonged to the universe. Phew! Dongbo Shuang flew out of the pitch-black hole. This was his first time coming to another universe. Instinctively, he retracted all his aura, and hid in the Mirage world. The Void Walkers were born with the ability to conceal their aura. Their bodies were like the void, without a trace of aura. It was even more powerful than the Bloodshed Tavern Master's robe. There really is life. Dongbo Shueying immediately discovered other life forms. This was a starry sky. On a barren planet in the starry sky, there was a palace that stood in a desolate desert. Within the palace, there was a burly man drinking wine by himself. However, his gaze was fixed on a relatively hidden pitch-black hole that was only 100 meters in diameter in the distant starry sky. The burly man's body was covered in black scales, and there were spikes on his elbows and knees. His face was dark red, and his head was covered with black scales. There was a long-tailed maid serving him by the side. He was drinking alone while observing the distant universe passage. This universe passage appeared not long ago. It is a small-scale universe passage. There should be life forms from other universes entering soon. The black-scaled muscular man muttered. Could it be that they have not discovered this universe passage? Let's wait a little longer. This universe passage appeared near my territory, and I was the first to discover it. This is my luck. If the life forms from other universes are special, they might be able to sell for a high price. The black-scaled muscular man waited patiently. Amen? Within the Mirage world, Shueying looked at that desolate planet in the distant starry sky. Even though the palace on that desolate planet seemed to be invisible, it could not be hidden from the probing of the Mirage world. It could not be hidden from his current perception of the void either. Other than a group of attendants at the deity and world deity realm, the strongest person in the palace should be a true god. A true god. Dongbo Shueying frowned. The other party should not have discovered him. Most likely, the other party was weaker than him. I wonder how his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries is, and if he can withstand my illusory realm. Dongbo Shueying did not dare to act recklessly. After all, this was another universe, and he was an outsider. Under such a situation, he had to be extremely cautious. He could not afford to make a mistake. What? Dongbo Shueying suddenly froze. He could no longer care about the true god, who was waiting for his prey in the distant starry sky. At this moment, Dongbo Shueying's heart was filled with waves of shock. This. Dongbo Shueying was tongue-tied. The time flow of this universe, through the connection of his soul, he could sense his true body. His true body was in his hometown universe, and he was currently in this universe, comparing the time flow. 3,566 times? Dongbo Shueying muttered. A day in my hometown universe is 10 years in this universe. Dongbo Shueying did not dare believe it. How could the time flow of the two universes be so different? Equipment spirit. The white-robed Dongbo Shueying who was in his hometown immediately asked the black gourd. Equipment spirit, is there a huge difference in the time flow of the two universes? Dongbo Shueying asked. The black gourd's equipment spirit had followed Voidwalker Guqi for a period of time, so it was much more knowledgeable. There is a huge difference between the two universes, and it is even possible that the laws of operation are completely different. However, as for the time flow, because all the universes exist in the primal chaos void, they are all affected by the primal chaos void. The difference in the flow of time is usually not big. The flow of time in your home universe is considered to be a relatively normal flow of time. The other universes usually have a time flow of 10 times slower than your hometown universe. Some are slower than yours. Some are faster. Within 10 times? But the time flow of this universe that I entered is 3,566 times faster than my hometown universe. What? More than 3,000 times? What's wrong? Dongbo Shueying asked. Some universes are born naturally from the primal chaos void, and some are created by terrifying existences. Those who can create universes are usually existences at the level of Forefather Tianyu and Voidwalker Guqi. The Black Gourd's equipment spirit explained. If it is a universe that is specially created, the universe's appearance is completely determined by the creator. But to maintain such a fast time flow of a cosmos is also an unfathomable and troublesome matter. The Black Gourd equipment spirit continued. No matter what we can confirm that this cosmos that you entered was created by an ancient existence. He purposely sped up the time flow. I understand, Dongbo Shuang thought. After understanding some information from the Black Gourd equipment spirit, Dongbo Shuang became more vigilant. A powerful existence similar to forefather Tian Yu and Gu Qi had created a cosmos, and was willing to pay the price to maintain such a fast time flow. This cosmos was definitely extraordinary. It was better for him to remain low profile. Of course, knowing that the time flow was more than 3,000 times faster still made him happy. Just this time flow made his journey to this cosmos worthwhile. He could make use of this time flow to properly cultivate. Originally, the war between the ancestor-mother religion and the cultivators was fast. But by relying on this cosmos time flow, he should be able to increase his strength by a huge amount. I have to hurry and find someone weaker and control him through the illusory realm to understand the general situation of this cosmos. South Dongbo Shuang teleported and disappeared. And that black-scaled muscular man in the palace on the desolate planet was still staring silently at his prey. He did not know that Dongbo Shuang had long left. Chapter 748. Dongbo Shuang teleported time and time again, and discovered a few life planets. He even flipped through the memories of a deity. With his current realm, he was able to avoid harming the other party in the slightest when flipping through the memories of a deity. South Dongbo Shuang appeared in the starry sky, looking at a huge planet in the distance. This universe, what exactly is going on? Dongbo Shuang felt even more puzzled as he flipped through the memories. There is a stage 3 world deity existence on this planet. His strength is higher, and he should know more. Dongbo Shuang looked at the huge planet in front of him. This planet had a diameter of about 5 million kilometers, and was considered big among the countless planets. There were a few palaces on it, and the races of this universe lived there as well. There are only about 10,000 races here. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. Previously, he had discovered many life planets, and the races living on them were few in number. The smallest ones only had a few tens of races, and the largest ones only had a few hundred. This planet in front of him had a stage 3 world deity existence, and the number of races living there was only about 10,000. However, there was one thing. Even a newborn baby was a transcendent. Who? Dongbo Shuang disappeared, entering the planet. On this planet, there was a group of children wearing underpants flying at high speed. They would occasionally play around in mid-air, and occasionally laugh out loud. Pung! One of the children sent another flying over 10 kilometers away with a single kick. He even shouted, "Haha, are you not full yet? You don't have any strength at all." However, at this moment, another child came over with lightning speed and launched a sneak attack. The few children were in a mess, and their movements were as fast as lightning. If a demigod transcendent from the Xia people's world were here, they would most likely be trampled by these children. At this moment, the planet's strongest expert, a green-scaled man, was chatting casually with an elder in green-scaled armor. They looked rather similar. They both had green scales, and there were spikes on their backs. Both of them had golden eyes. "Second brother," the green-scaled old man said in a low voice. "It won't be long before I die. This time, I came to see you, second brother, in hopes that you can take care of the children of my clan." "Brother, it's not the end yet. It's entirely possible for you to awaken your bloodline again," the green-scaled man said. "You're the only one left among my brothers. Don't give up so easily. I know my body is already old." Just as he finished speaking, he felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly, an invisible illusion descended. The green-scaled man and the old man immediately fell into a deep slumber. A black-robed young man walked in. It was Dongbo Shuang. He walked to the green-scaled man and said, "Tell me, who is the strongest existence in this universe? Don't say their names, they'll know." "The strongest are the 3 great emperors," the green-scaled man murmured as if he was dreaming. "Great sovereign?" Dongbo Shuaying's eyes lit up. Previously, when he flipped through the memories of the little deity, his understanding of the true gods was just bits and pieces. Are the great sovereigns true gods? Dongbo Shuang asked. What he was most concerned about was whether the pinnacle of strength, in this universe, was within the realm of true gods. The great sovereigns are above the true gods. The green-scaled man continued. Dongbo Shuang's heart twitched. He felt an invisible pressure pressing down on him, and he continued asking. In another starry sky far away in this universe, on a beautiful and auspicious planet, a figure soared into the sky. It was a man with a vigorous aura, and his entire body was covered in green-scaled armor. Although he wore a simple silver armor, the scales on his exposed arms were covered in mysterious patterns. His eyes were emitting a faint golden light. My descendant, why is his life form so strange? This silver-armored man waved his hand, and a streamlined battleship appeared beside him. He took a step forward and entered the battleship. Selah, the battleship tore open a space-time tunnel as it advanced at a rapid speed. At this moment, Dongbo Shuang was still asking for information. The more he understood, the more shocked he became. This stage 3 world deity existence clearly had some understanding of the entire universe. It's actually like this. Dongbo Shuang completely understood. In this universe, one relied on bloodline awakening to increase their strength. It was a little like the primordial bloodline awakening of the Xia people's world. After a long period of reproduction, almost all the ordinary life forms at the bottom of this universe had a bloodline of the highest level. Thus, they all had the potential to awaken their bloodlines to an extremely high level. Among them, the father was extremely powerful. Usually, the second generation of children would have a thicker and stronger bloodline. The third and fourth generation would continuously weaken. A powerful expert would form a powerful clan. In this universe, the clans formed their power. The strongest were the 3 great emperor-class clans. Next were the king-class clans. After them were the true god clans. Any lower? They were not worth mentioning. The 3 great emperor-class clans were because each of them had a great emperor. Great emperor surpassed the realm of rulers, and had even broken through the realm of true god, reaching an even higher level. With the large amount of information Dongbo Shuang obtained from the Voidwalker inheritance, the realm above true god was Void God. This was a publicly acknowledged title, because reaching this level would allow one to travel in the primal chaos, void with his fleshy body. 3 great void gods. King-class existences were true god rulers, and there should be many of them. True god clans had true gods, and the number of true gods should be more than 10,000. Heavens! The overall strength of this cosmos is dozens to 100 times stronger than our cosmos? Dongbo Shuang was startled. His cosmos did not have a single void god, yet here, there were 3. They rarely cultivated and preferred to battle. During battle, it was easier for their bloodline to awaken. Every time they awakened their bloodline, their strength would greatly increase. Dongbo Shuang told all these to the Black Gourd treasure spirit, asking for his opinion. Bloodline cultivation system? The treasure spirit was startled. A cosmos with such a cultivation system has a huge background. It isn't good to offend them. Oh, Dongbo Shuang felt puzzled. It is very difficult to awaken one's bloodline, the treasure spirit said. Dongbo Shuang nodded. That's right, he had spent quite a lot of effort to awaken his primordial bloodline. The majority of living beings in this cosmos were only at the transcendent level. Even though there were more than 10,000 who could become true gods, there were still very few of them compared to the billions of people in the cosmos. One had to know that there were several hundred powerful existences in the cultivator cosmos. But the bloodline must have an origin, the treasure spirit said. The bloodline of the origin is extremely formidable, and only the descendants have a chance of awakening it. Just like your Xia people's world, primordial life forms had once been born. Because there were primordial life forms, only then would there be primordial bloodlines. And for bloodlines to become the cultivation system of the entire cosmos, to the point of giving birth to void gods, then the origin of this bloodline must be a terrifying existence. The treasure spirit said, I suspect that it is their primogenitor who created this cosmos. Thus, the countless life forms in this cosmos have a strong background. Behind them is their primogenitor, And for the cosmos to maintain a time flow of 3,000 times faster than normal, it should be their primogenitor, hoping to give birth to more powerful descendants. The treasure spirit said. Dongbo Shuang nodded as he listened. Bloodline cultivation system. Just like his own bloodline, his descendants were relatively formidable. But it was hard for them to form a cosmos race and form a huge bloodline cultivation system. And the primogenitor of this cosmos race had done it. The bloodline cultivation system is slightly easier to break through as compared to your laws and profound mystery system. But this system has a huge weakness. It is very hard to reach the primogenitor level. The treasure spirit explained. But according to what I see, their primogenitor is very terrifying. Thus, even if one cultivates to a level close to the primogenitor level, it is already very powerful. Asterisk asterisk. Chapter 749. While Dongbo Shuang was inquiring about the situation through the illusory realm, a battleship had already arrived in the starry space outside this planet. Within the battleship, a silver-armored man with green scales all over his body was coldly looking at the scene within the battleship. Within the scene, Dongbo Shuang was currently inquiring about the situation. A life form from a foreign cosmos? What audacity, to actually dare to act against a descendant of me, Shan Dan. This man's golden eyes were filled with coldness. However, he still habitually checked the strength of the other party first. Wang, a formless ripple swept over from the battleship, flitting past that planet. What? The silver-armored, green-scaled man was initially cold, but at this moment his expression changed. Judging from the aura of the soul, it's at the Paragon realm? This battleship was bestowed to him by the highness he followed. It was extremely proficient in traversing through space-time and checking the aura of the soul. Although it wasn't as heaven-defying as the Black Gourd's equipment spirit, it was still able to check the strength of the other party's soul. But at the very least, it could determine the rough strength of the other party. I didn't expect to meet a foreign race expert on a random trip. Moreover, he's even at the Paragon realm. The silver-armored, green-scaled man nodded slightly. Wang and Dongbo Shuang, who was originally inquiring about the situation and conversing with the equipment spirit through his original body in his homeworld, felt a formless ripple sweeping past him. This ripple was extremely weak, but regardless of whether it was the mirage world or his control over the void, they were all able to detect it. Amen. Dongbo Shuang's expression changed. He could not help but turn his head. His gaze pierced through the walls of the hall he was in and saw the battleship in the starry space. In fact, his gaze even pierced through the void and saw the silver-armored, green-scaled man within the battleship. The two of them stared at each other from afar. This foreign race brother is truly vigilant. To think that you could actually discover me. A voice rang out. The silver-armored, green-scaled man had already appeared in this hall. From your appearance, you shouldn't be one of the life forms from the 8 great cosmoses that my race conquered, right? Dongbo Shuang looked at the other party. Just now he had already understood quite a bit of information. He also knew that this universe, as a bloodline cultivation system, was very warlike. In fact, this cosmos would often form cosmos passageways. Using these cosmos passageways, the juggernauts had already conquered the other 8 cosmos. In order to conquer a cosmos, one had to have a cosmos passageway of the highest grade. Only those who had not transcended could enter and exit a cosmos, like the one Dongbo Shuang had used. Clearly, it was impossible to send an army to conquer it. Naturally, even though they had conquered 8 cosmoses, they were much better off than the ancestor mother religion. They would treat the living beings in the original universe well, just letting their people go to other universes to reproduce. They would even treat the alien races the same as the experts of their own race. My name is Dongbo Shuang. This is my first time in this universe. Dongbo Shuang said. I'm Shan Dan. The silver-armored, green-scaled man glanced at the 2 descendants who had fallen into an illusion. They can be considered the ancestors of these 2 little fellows. They are my bloodline descendants. Dongbo Shuang felt a little awkward. The illusory realm, he executed just happened to deal with the other party's descendants. Ha ha ha. You might not know, but we are able to sense our bloodline descendants at all times. Naturally, we will pay attention to those who are stronger. The silver-armored, green-scaled male said, I only rushed over because I sensed that something is wrong with my descendants. I'm ashamed. This is my first time here, and I know nothing. That's why I used such a method, Dongbo Shuang said. At the same time, he kept his illusory realm. The two bloodline descendants immediately woke up from their slumber. They looked at the two newcomers with shock, especially when they saw the silver-armored, green-scaled male. They immediately stood up, shouting excitedly and crazily, Patriarch! The bloodline in their bodies allowed them to understand that the person in front of them was the ancestor of their clan. The creator of a clan, the strongest expert, the patriarch Shan Dan. Amen. The silver-armored, green-scaled male nodded indifferently. I'm here to meet a good friend of mine. The two of you can continue with your matters. Brother Dong, shall we talk outside? Shan Dan was relatively polite. All right, but Brother Shan Dan, it's better if you call me Dongbua. Dongbua Shuang mumbled inwardly. Brother Dong? This was the first time he heard such a form of address. So. The two of them soon arrived in the starry sky outside. Ha ha ha, Dongbua. You've just arrived in our cosmos, so you might not understand much. But you should know of the three great emperor clans, right? They are the three void god clans. Shan Dan said. I've just heard of it. Dongbua Shuang said. I'm currently working for one of the three great emperor clans, the Jiaoyin clan. Shan Dan said. Great Emperor Jiaoyin has 3 children, and they are the 3 majesties. Their bloodlines are extraordinary, and their potential is great. Coupled with their noble status, they can command large amounts of resources. Many experts are willing to follow their majesties. I'm currently following the 3rd majesty, Jiaoyin Lu. Dongbua Shuang nodded as he heard that. He could guess it too. In the bloodline cultivation system, the children of void gods would naturally have a noble status. In addition to the relationship between father and son, they would also focus on nurturing their children. The treasures and resources that void gods had would far surpass one's imagination if they were to give it to their children. You should know that our cosmos loves to fight, and the weak are prey to the strong. The strong live and the weak die. Shan Dan said, fighting is cruel. Even the majesties will fight and kill each other. As long as the true body's life isn't threatened, the void god emperors will not interfere. Dongbua Shuang listened. He knew that even though the Shan Dan was polite to him, the competition in this cosmos was cruel. But although this universe was tolerant, the competition was very cruel. The weak were prey to the strong. They looked down on the weak and respected the strong. They would even use the weak to buy and sell, and watch them kill each other for fun. Even the majesties high up had many setbacks. After all, no matter how noble their bloodline was, they had to undergo tempering and awakening. That is why His Third Highness is also recruiting protectors. Shan Dan said, Dongbua, you have the strength of a paragon, and can totally join under His Highness. What are the benefits? Dongbua Shuang directly asked. What do I have to pay? He came to this cosmos precisely to increase his strength. Benefits that most people can't get can be easily bestowed to you by His Highness. Shan Dan said, His Highness still places great importance on his protectors. As for what you have to pay, it's nothing much. His Highness will arrange a place for you to stay, and you just have to cultivate. Most of the time, only when you meet with trouble or danger would the protectors have to act to protect His Highness. His Highness is currently at the Paragon realm. At this realm, it is rare for him to meet with danger. Shan Dan said, the last time he met with trouble was more than 1 billion years ago. Can I obtain the cultivation techniques from other cosmos? Dongbua Shuang asked. Ha ha ha, that is the easiest. Shan Dan laughed. There are plenty of them. Alright, I can give it a try. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Let's go. Shan Dan was very happy. He was very clear that among the 3 highnesses in the Jiaoyin family, the 2nd highness had already become a ruler. As the 1st highness was the first to be born, he received the most benefits. Although he was only at the Paragon realm, he had many experts following him. He was much stronger than the 3rd highness. Even within the Jiaoyan family, the Third Highness was at a disadvantage. Therefore, he was in urgent need of manpower. Paragons were already an important combat power. Who? Shan Dan brought Dongbua Shuaying with him on the battleship and departed. What a fast speed! Dongbua Shuaying was shocked by the battleship. Although it is not as fast as my void tunneling technique, it is at least 10 times faster than a true god Paragon's space-time travel. Look! Shan Dan pointed in front of them passionately. Through the battleship, they could see a yellow planet in the distance. The Third Highness is cultivating in seclusion here. Many of his protectors are temporarily staying on this planet to protect him. I have already told the Highness about you. Let's hurry and meet the Highness. Having said that, he kept the battleship and brought Shuaying along as they flew toward the earthen yellow planet. Chapter 750. Hidden deep underground, the Third Highness, Jiao Yinlu, was looking at a black plant in front of him. This black plant had a total of 3 dark green fruits growing on it. Hurry up and ripen. I have waited for too long. Jiao Yinlu had a rather delicate appearance. Scarlet scales covered his entire body, and there was a dark red scale between his eyebrows. His face was rather fair, and his entire aura was reserved and gentle. At this moment, his gaze landed on the black plant, and there was a hint of desire in his eyes. Your Highness, the fruits are still far from ripening. The 3 of us will be in charge of taking care of them. You can rest assured. A black-skinned man with vertical eyes laughed. He was also from a different race, and came from another cosmos. However, he was a trusted aide of the Third Highness. Beside him were 2 other experts. Your Highness, Shan Dan said that a foreign race paragon called Dongbua Shuaying will be arriving soon, said a guard behind Jiao Yinlu. All right, let's go. Jiao Yinlu nodded and left with his guards. Although they were underground, there were many ancient spirit arrays around them. The security was extremely tight. Jiao Yinlu looked at these spirit arrays and nodded his head. Although he knew that the fruits were still far from ripening, he could not help but come to take a look. He was afraid that an accident would happen. He had to personally see that the fruits were still growing before he could be at ease. Although he lived on the surface, and even the spirit arrays were controlled by him, he still came to check time and time again. When the fruits ripen, my strength will increase greatly. I might even be able to awaken my bloodline and step into the ruler realm. I might even be conferred the title of king. Jiao Yinlu's eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. Jiao Yinlu and his guards quickly arrived on the surface. Under the lead of another clone of Shan Dan, they went to welcome him. This is Brother Dongbua Shuaying? Jiao Yinlu smiled. Shuaying had just arrived on this planet when he met the Third Highness, who had brought a group of protectors to personally welcome him. Shan Dan's true body reminded him. This is the Third Highness. Greetings, Third Highness. Dongbua Shuaying bowed slightly. I've been recruiting guards all this while. I'm glad that Brother Dongbua Shuaying is willing to join us. However, I'd like to see how strong you are, Guard Dongbua. What do you think? The third Prince Jiao Yinlu said. After all, even among supremacies there were strong and weak ones. He had to at least have a rough understanding of the guards around him. Dongbua Shuaying nodded. Anytime. Then Protector Tsong, come and fight with Protector Dongbo. Third Prince Jiao Yinlu said. All right. A dark-skinned, tall, and muscular man walked out from the group of guards. His entire body was made of metal, and he was not a fleshly life form. Dongbua Shuaying understood that the person in front of him was also a member of a different race. After all, this universe was based on the bloodline cultivation system. Naturally, everyone here was made up of flesh and blood. From what he had heard from Shan Dan, the third prince's guards consisted of 15 from this universe and 5 from the foreign races. If he were to join, he would be the 6th. Let's fight in the void. Protector Tsong's voice was deep and resounding. With a single step, he appeared in the starry space. Shuaying followed along into the starry sky. The two of them faced each other. Let's begin. Below, the third prince and the group of guards all raised their heads. With their vision, they could see everything clearly. Protector Tsong suddenly roared. He spat out a white light wave from his mouth. In an instant, it appeared in front of Dongbua Shuiying. The guards below watched silently. They were clear that this was one of the killing moves of Protector Tsong's universe's cultivation system. The ripples were nurtured within his body, and it was extremely powerful. Most of them did not dare to face it head-on. They felt that just this move alone would cause that Dongbua Shuiying to expend a lot of energy. He might even be defeated. Who? The light wave passed through Dongbua Shuiying's body and disappeared into the distant starry space. As for Dongbua Shuiying, he was completely unharmed. Amen. In the distance, Protector Tsong was startled. The eyes of the third prince brightened. The other protectors were also startled. He actually faced it head-on without any injuries? It was as if his body was void. It's my turn now. Dongbua Shuiying chuckled. He displayed the Mirage World technique. Although he looked like he was standing there, he had already entered the Mirage World. Even though the other party's attack had slightly affected his Mirage World, he could easily resist it with his body. He did not even need to move a single step. Dongbua Shuiying flipped his hand, causing a dart to appear. This dart was also a spoil of war obtained from the protectors of the ancestor mother religion. There were a total of 12 darts in this set, and they were formed from strange bones. Even though they were not true god weapons, they were not any weaker than true god weapons in terms of toughness and sharpness. Actually, most of the weapons used by the ancestor mother religion were more primitive weapons like cudgels, sabers, and swords. But most of them could clash head-on with true god weapons. Xiao. The dart was thrown out, disappearing without a trace. It had already reached the enemy through the Mirage World. Amen. Where is the dart? Where is it? That Protector Tsong widened his metallic eyes as he looked around. He was on high alert, but following that his expression changed. The dart had already reached his chest. Ong! He did not have the time to defend. This attack that contained a portion of Dongbua Shuiying's powerful physical strength, and the Tao of Slaughter, had reached the enemy through the Mirage World. The enemy could not even defend against it. A loud boom reverberated. A huge hole had been pierced through Protector Tsong's chest. Protector Tsong looked down in a daze before turning back. The dart that attacked him had already disappeared. I've lost. Protector Tsong muttered. He was clear that he would not be able to withstand that dart even if he were to use it again. Brother Dongbua is formidable. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Protector Tsong's body is extraordinary too. This attack of mine has only pierced through a hole. Dongbua Shuiying said. He originally planned to heavily injure the other party, leaving him with a chance of survival. But who would have thought that after barely piercing through the other party's chest, the power of the dart would be depleted? The other party's body was clearly extremely tough. The third prince Jiao Yinlu was very enthusiastic. Protector Dongbua's strength is extraordinary. However, I don't think that Protector Dongbua has any good weapons. He doesn't even have a true god weapon. Does Protector Dongbua specialize in darts? No, it's a spear. Dongbua Shuiying said. Spear. Jiao Yinlu nodded. I do have a spear here. I stole it from the treasury that my father forged. As he spoke, he waved his hand. A set of black robes and a silvery white spear appeared in front of him. There was even a gray warship beside them. The warship's design was extremely similar to the one Shandan controlled. Dongbua Shuiying was startled. Accept it. Every protector has one, Jiao Yinlu said. Dongbua Shuiying immediately accepted it. As he did so, he could feel the terrifying sharpness contained within the silvery white spear. In terms of sharpness, it seemed to be above the blood serpent spear. However, the forging method of this spear was different from the blood serpent spear and other true god weapons. It did not contain the Tao of the eternal realm or the Tao of the opening realm. Instead, it contained layers of ancient and complicated arrays. Is this a true god weapon forged from another system? Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. Old ancestor Tian, you had left behind a large number of weapons at the starting ground. Old ancestor Tian, you was the ancestor of their cultivator universe. He also cultivated the laws and profound mysteries system. Naturally, his weapons were of the same system. Different cultivation systems would usually have completely different weapon forging methods. However, the might of the weapons would not necessarily be weak. For example, His black gourd relied on that terrifying void array to easily control an existence on the level of the sun star. A true god weapon could not compare to it. I heard from Shan Dan that you want techniques from another cultivation system? The third prince Jiao Yinlu laughed. I'm very curious. I want to see if they can be of any help to my cultivation, Dongbo Shuiying replied. Ha ha ha, this is very normal. Every cultivation system has its own uniqueness. The third prince Jiao Yinlu flipped his hand, and pieces of crystals appeared. These crystals contain a large number of techniques from the cultivation systems of the 18 cosmoses. Some of them are similar. Some of them are completely different. As he spoke, he passed the crystals to Dongbo Shuiying. Dongbo Shuiying was shocked. Cultivation systems from the 18 cosmoses? That's right. Although this cosmos had conquered 8 cosmoses, there were still other small cosmos passageways and medium cosmos passageways that connected to other cosmoses. It was possible to obtain techniques from the cultivation systems there. If you have any needs, feel free to look for me. The third prince Jiao Yinlu laughed. The only thing I can help you with is these external resources. Dongbo Shuiying held onto the crystals and sensed the vast amount of information within them. They represented the various cosmos civilizations, and he sighed inwardly. What I need your help with are these external resources. Thank you, third prince. Dongbo Shuiying was in an extremely good mood. If he were to rely on himself to collect the cultivation systems, he would most likely not be able to match up to the number of techniques the Void God clan possessed. Chapter 751. Let's go. The banquet has already been prepared. The Third Highness Jiao Yinlu spoke. The surrounding guards also headed to the banquet. After the display of his abilities, the attitude of these guards towards Dongbo Shuiying was much better. Dongbo Shuiying also attended the banquet and enjoyed the delicacies of the other cosmos. This cosmos was also filled with flesh and blood life forms, so the food was quite appetizing. As for the metallic protector Tsong, who fought with Dongbo Shuiying, he only drank a few mouthfuls of wine. He did not touch the delicacies at all. After the banquet, Lord Dongbo, this is your cave dwelling. A servant specially sent Dongbo Shuiying over. At the entrance of the cave dwelling, there was also a group of servants welcoming Dongbo Shuiying. Greetings, master. The large group of servants were incomparably respectful. They knew that from today onwards, their lives belonged to this powerful alien in front of them. Even if they were killed in a fit of anger, they would have died in vain. Dongbo Shuiying swept his gaze across them. The strongest of these servants was only a stage 2 world deity, while the majority of them were deities. I need to cultivate. Do not disturb me if there's nothing important. Dongbo Shuiying instructed. Yes. The group of servants heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this was someone who loved to cultivate. This time, he would probably cultivate for a very long time. The huge door of the cultivation hall within the cave dwelling closed with a rumble. Dongbo Shuiying waved his hand, causing a black ring to land on the table. His body disappeared into thin air, entering the world within the black ring. This was a grassland. On the grassland, Dongbo Shuiying sat cross-legged as he inspected the weapons, robes, battleships and other items given by the Third Highness. This caused Dongbo Shuiying to nod his head. This spear is not any less valuable than my blood serpent spear. The battleship is similarly valuable. The black robes seem ordinary, but they are extremely tough and can conceal one's aura. These 3 treasures are enough to cause the majority of paragons in our cosmos to covet them. From this point, it was clear that there were many more treasures in this cosmos. Cultivation system. With a flip of his hand, that piece of crystal appeared. Shuiying's eyes were blazing with passion. This was what he desired the most. Any cultivation system was the crystallization of the wisdom of countless beings in the universe. It was their way of becoming powerful. The cultivation system of the 18 cosmoses. Let's begin. Dongbo Shuiying calmed his heart and allowed his consciousness to seep into the crystal without any interference. In an instant, a large amount of information was transmitted to him. The vast cultivation system was even accompanied by a large number of techniques and explanations. It should be an explanation recorded by the experts of the universe where the third highness came from. Although the bloodline cultivation system mainly relied on the awakening of the bloodline, they were no fools. They would also absorb the advantages of the cultivation systems of other universes to strengthen themselves. Time passed. Even with the strength of Dongbo Shuiying's soul, it still took him 3 whole days to go through all 18 cultivation systems. I see. Because after looking through all 18 cultivation systems, he would naturally compare them and come to a conclusion. There are 2 types of cosmos. One is the cosmos that was born naturally, and the other is the cosmos that was created by ancient existences. Dongbo Shuiying thought. Thus, the cultivation system is mainly divided into 2 types. The first type is the guidance left behind by ancient existences. This type of cultivation system is destined to be a broad great Tao, allowing one to cultivate to an extremely high level. The second type is in those cosmos that were born naturally. Without any guidance, those beings that were born could only fumble around by themselves. For the sake of survival, for the sake of becoming stronger, for the sake of longevity, they pondered over different cultivation methods. Gradually, the most formidable and most suitable cultivation method became the mainstream of the cultivation of the entire cosmos. Over the long years, it was continuously perfected by countless beings. But no matter how perfect it would still be limited by the scope and strength of the individual. Dongbo Shuiying rejoiced inwardly. The cultivation system of his hometown was guided by forefather Tianyu. The laws and profound mysteries system was a great Tao that reached the pinnacle. There is actually a cultivation system of the ancestor mother religion within these 18 cultivation systems. Dongbo Shuiying finally understood how the ancestor mother religion cultivated. The ancestor mother religion, they treated the world as an embryo, and themselves as the infant, using the world to nurture themselves. Once they were strong enough, they would use the cosmos as an embryo to nurture themselves. Such a system required the establishment of the ancestor mother altar to transform the cosmos. They did not believe in the world or the cosmos. Instead, they believed in an incomparably majestic existence, the ancestor mother. The ancestor mother was like a mother, protecting them, nurturing them, allowing them to become stronger, and allowing them to display all sorts of unfathomable abilities. This system was relatively clumsy in the early stages, but the further one went, the stranger it became. Even if they entered the primal chaos void in the future, they could still rely on the primal chaos void to nurture themselves. All sorts of abilities and cultivation techniques were recorded, causing Dongbo Shuiying's expression to change. It is a very formidable system. Dongbo Shuiying's true body in his hometown immediately transmitted a large amount of information to his teacher, Bloodblade. Bloodblade was startled. Snow Eagle, you went to the ancestor mother religion cosmos? No, it is a very powerful cosmos. This cosmos has many cultivation systems, of which the ancestor mother religion is included. Many cultivation systems? Then you have to be careful. Being greedy isn't a good thing. I understand. When Dongbo Shuiying received the Walker's hidden secret inheritance, he knew that some cultivation systems were completely different from each other. They were not suitable for dual cultivation. Only by helping each other would it be a good thing. According to his teacher, Voidwalker Guqi, the Voidwalker system and the laws and profound mysteries system were quite compatible. One cultivated the body, and the other cultivated the laws and profound mysteries. After understanding the various cultivation systems, Dongbo Shuiying began attempting to cultivate them. Of the 18 systems, he could only attempt to cultivate 8 of them. The other systems had all sorts of problems, like the bloodline cultivation system. Dongbo Shuiying was not a life form from this cosmos. He did not have their bloodline, and naturally, he could not cultivate them. The life forms from the cosmos where Protector Tsong came from all had metallic bodies, and they mainly cultivated their bodies. But the fleshy life forms cultivated their bodies differently, and naturally, they could not cultivate them. The weaker the ancestor mother religion was, the harsher its requirements for its environment. Dongbo Shuiying could not cultivate them either. Only by truly cultivating them can I understand how mysterious they are. Dongbo Shuang began attempting to cultivate the 8 cultivation systems. He was prepared to spend 1,000 years on each of the 8 cultivation systems. With his comprehension ability, 1,000 years was sufficient for him to comprehend a cultivation system thoroughly and understand its essence. These 8 cultivation systems, according to the explanation within the crystal, 2 of them could be cultivated to the pinnacle. The other 6 had flaws. Those who could cultivate to the pinnacle were called witches. They researched the myriad existences, seeking the deepest secrets within them. Using these secrets, the witches could become very powerful. The cosmos where the witches came from, and the cosmos where the third prince, and the others came from merely had a small-scale passage. But the witches were extremely enthusiastic and willing to take out their own cultivation systems to exchange. They were curious towards the myriad existences, including the myriad existences in other cosmos. The other was called the strongest warrior cultivation system. They could use their cultivation to transform their own bodies. What seemed like an ordinary drop of blood could be treated as a planet for research. They could even treat a particle as a continent for research and reconstruct. As they cultivated, they would be able to delve deeper into the microscopic aspect of their bodies. Following that, they would be able to transform their bodies even further. Their goal in cultivation was to make their bodies as powerful as a cosmos. They were forever chasing after the pinnacle. They did not require weapons, because their bodies were their strongest weapons. Eating and digesting weapons was an easy task. They did not require armor. Their skin was incomparably tough. Dongbo Shuang even suspected that the strongest world deity he met at the starting ground might have cultivated the strongest warrior cultivation system. After all, the other party had eaten his flying knife true god weapon, and in just a short moment, the flying knife had become tattered. His digestive ability was terrifying. They are indeed the 2 cultivation systems that have reached the pinnacle. Dongbo Shuang admitted that these 2 cultivation systems were formidable. However, these 2 cultivation systems required a large amount of time and effort. Researching the myriad existences was actually much more complicated than comprehending the laws and profound mysteries. The strongest warrior cultivation system, when it came to body research, was not as simple as a cosmos. As for the other 6 flawed cultivation systems, in the 5th 1,000 years of cultivation, Dongbo Shuang was in a state of ecstasy. Star. Chapter 752. This was a flawed cultivation system, known as the Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System. For the sake of survival, strength, and all sorts of desires, the countless life forms in their universe continuously perfected this cultivation system. When this cultivation system was weak, it could communicate with the heaven and earth, and borrow the energy of the heaven and earth to fight. It could also use the energy of the heaven and earth to strengthen itself. When it was strong, it could communicate with the origin of the universe. It could continuously strengthen itself, and even control a portion of the origin of the universe. With a wave of its hand, it could control the origin energy of the universe. Its combat power was extremely terrifying. Eventually, in this universe, there would be a terrifying existence who would fuse with the origin of the universe. His own will would be the will of the universe. Within the universe, he would be invincible. However, this cultivation system would end once it reached this level, because after fusing with the universe would be like a cage trapping him. He would never be able to leave this universe. As for the other cosmos emissaries, because one of them had already fused with the origin of the universe, the other emissaries could no longer fuse with it. Unless they changed to another cultivation system, they would never be able to improve. Their universe was extremely powerful. However, the flaw was very obvious. Within their own universe, they were incomparably powerful. However, the moment they left their own universe, it would be impossible. In other universes, they would not be able to use the origin energy of the universe. Their combat power would drop drastically. There was another problem with this cultivation system. For example, Forefather Tianyu, or the primogenitor of the bloodline cultivation system universe, They would always protect the origin of the universe. Therefore, the origin of the universe that they created would not be able to be controlled or fused with. On the plains, Dongbu Shuiying sat cross-legged and cultivated. Dongbu Shuiying's cultivation was extremely high, and his body was extremely strong. After comprehending this cultivation system for 100 years, he successfully communicated with the origin of the universe. Rumble, the slaughter energy of the universe's origin directly descended, landing around Dongbu Shuiying's body. This is too great. Dongbu Shuiying's heart was filled with joy. I originally did not care about this cultivation system, as I felt that its flaws were too obvious. However, from the looks of it, I have still underestimated it. Any cultivation system that can become a cultivation system of a universe is extremely impressive. How can comprehending the laws of profound mysteries compare to experiencing the descent of the universe's origin energy? Dongbu Shuiying was pleasantly surprised. According to the rules, the most common laws of heaven and earth in the mortal world were the most basic. There were even higher laws, such as the entire material world's laws, the Dark Abyss laws, the Lake Heart Island's operating array, the Sun Star, the Moon Star's laws. These laws were all of a very high level. At the highest level were the operating rules of a universe. Allowing the origin energy of the universe to descend upon one's body was the most direct way of probing the operating laws of the universe. It was extremely beneficial to his cultivation of the laws. Currently, Dongbu Shuiying was mainly cultivating the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter. Thus, he was the first to attempt to allow the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source to descend first. Just sensing isn't enough. I still have to cultivate their techniques. Dark Ripple Technique. Shuiying began cultivating the slaughter-related cultivation techniques passed down in that cosmos. From the crystallization of his heart's blood and sweat, he was able to experience the comprehension of the life forms in that cosmos towards slaughter. Every single cultivation technique was about controlling the slaughter energy of the cosmos origin. As he truly cultivated them, Dongbu Shuiying's understanding towards slaughter became deeper and deeper. In his hometown, how many people had opened up the Tao of Slaughter? And in the Cosmos Emissary system, there were many who chose to cultivate the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source. They pursued strength, and were naturally willing to choose slaughter. As a result, there were many killing techniques. Slaughter. In the past, my thinking was too shallow. Dongbu Shuiying was completely immersed in his cultivation. Every day, he could feel that his understanding towards slaughter was increasing. Along the way, he even thickened his skin to pay a visit to the Third Highness, asking him to help him gather the Tao of Slaughter techniques and absolute arts of the Cosmos Emissary system. The Third Highness immediately agreed and contacted his clan, requesting for the cultivation techniques and absolute arts of the Cosmos Emissary system. Third Highness, this system has no future. At most, it can only be used to sense the strength of the universe's origin source. The upper echelons of the clan were somewhat dissatisfied. They even berated, "You should train yourself more and fight more. As long as your bloodline awakens, your strength will increase greatly." I understand. I'm just using it as a reference. Uncle Fu, I'll have to trouble you to quickly gather it and send it to me. The Third Highness instructed. All right. Half a month later, there were only 2 more normal cultivation techniques, but 8 absolute arts were brought over. His Third Highness gave all of them to Dongbu Shuiying. This made Dongbu Shuiying sigh inwardly. Chapter 753. It has been 30 million years. On a mountain peak, Dongbu Shuiying stood there. He was overlooking this vast Eden world. There were no sentient beings in this Eden world. This was deliberately chosen by Dongbu Shuiying. After all, the power of his walker's hidden secret was too great. Just a slight ripple from it could wipe out countless sentient beings. However, after 30 million years of cultivation, Lin Fan could now control the walker's hidden secret perfectly. He would not allow the chaos void energy to affect his surroundings at all. My current strength has far surpassed that of the three holy protectors and heavenly emperor of great destruction. During the final battle between my cultivator cosmos and the ancestor mother religion, I should not be a hindrance, right? Dongbo Shuang thought. 30 million years was too long. Before coming to the Devil Mountain cosmos, he had cultivated for just 10 million years before reaching that level of attainment. Now 30 million years have passed. With his comprehension ability, he had comprehended the void array of the Black Gourd. Not only had his Tao of Mirage reached a bottleneck, even his understanding of the primal chaos void had become more profound. He had pushed the Walker's hidden secret to the 6th level. Only after reaching this level did Dongbo Shuang understand why the Void Walker lineage was so strict in choosing their inheritors. Even their temperament was required. They were afraid that the inheritor would not be suitable. Indeed, this was a heaven-defying cultivation system. Compared to the 18 widely spread cultivation systems recorded in the crystal given by Third Highness Jiao Yinlu, it had a clear advantage at the Paragon realm. In the future, when one cultivated to the level of Forefather Tian Yu and Lake Heart Island Swordmaster, the laws and profound mysteries system might be comparable to the Voidwalker lineage. But in the early stages, at least at the Paragon realm, the Voidwalker system would suppress all other systems. It is my fortune to be able to enter the Devil Mountain cosmos with an advantage of 3,000 times faster time flow. Before the final battle, I have to grab hold of this opportunity to improve myself. Dongbo Shuang felt that he was strong, but this was not the end. His strength still had room for improvement at the Paragon realm. Suddenly, there was a faint tremor outside the Eden treasure. Dongbo Shuang raised his head with suspicion. What is happening? Guards, quickly protect His Highness. An urgent message was sent to all the guards. Dongbo Shuang, as a great being from another universe, did not have karma, so he also carried a communication treasure. Protect His Highness? Dongbo Shuang was shocked. Whoosh! Dongbo Shuang disappeared from the heavenly abode world. His Highness Jiao Yinlu excitedly rushed back to the palace on the surface and instructed the guards beside him. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. No one is to disturb me. Yes. The 4 guards replied in unison. Jiao Yinlu had just rushed into his secret hall and closed the door. He was holding the golden bottle in his hand, but he didn't have the time to take out the black devil holy fruits. Suddenly, a wave of fluctuation spread out. Jiao Yinlu's expression changed. As he was the one controlling the core formation of this planet, he had immediately sensed that an enemy had infiltrated the planet. South. He immediately rushed out. Just as he reached the entrance of his palace, he saw a group of figures standing in the air. The leader was a man in golden armor. He also had crimson scales, and there was also a crimson scale between his eyebrows. Even his appearance was similar to Jiao Yinlu's, but his eyes were colder. Big brother? Jiao Yinlu's expression turned ashen. My poor little brother, your big brother is here again. The man in golden armor laughed. Your luck is not bad, to actually discover a black devil holy fruit tree. Since it's already matured, give it to me, your big brother. Jiao Yinlu's gaze immediately swept past the 4 guards. He no longer had his usual friendliness. Instead, there was a trace of madness. He looked at the 4 guards and gritted his teeth. Which one of you betrayed me? These 4 guards, 2 of them were the ones who had discovered the Black Devil Holy Fruit Tree, while the other 2 were his most trusted guards. However, now that the news had been exposed, he could not have exposed himself. Hence, it could only be one of the 4 guards who knew about the Black Devil Holy Fruit Tree. Not us. When we discovered the Black Devil Holy Fruit Tree, we immediately reported it to His Highness. If we betrayed him, there was no need for us to tell His Highness. 2 of the guards hurriedly said, My useless little brother, you still can't guess it? Cha Yin-nong, your mission is complete. You don't have to stay by my little brother's side anymore. The man in golden armor sneered. Immediately, a tall guard in gray armor flew up and landed beside the man in golden armor and the other experts. He said respectfully, Actually, he didn't suspect me at all. I can continue to stay by his side. Cha! His Highness Jiao Yinlu looked at the tall guard in disbelief. You betrayed me? Why? Out of all the guards, he trusted Cha Yin Nong the most. His wife and Cha Yin Nong were blood siblings. Hence, towards Cha Yin Nong, the Third Highness was especially fond of him. Cha Yin Nong should be the one with the lowest talent among his guards. If not for the Third Highness's help, Cha Yin Nong would not have his current strength. Idiot. The tall guard in gray armor sneered, too lazy to say anything else. Little brother, why? Are you still planning to struggle? The man in golden armor smiled. Third Highness. Beside the man in golden armor, a red-haired one-eyed old man said with a vigorous voice, "There's no need to struggle. Just hand over the Black Devil's sacred fruits to the eldest Highness. Otherwise you and all your guards will die." Within the Devil Mountain cosmos, even the children of void gods would fight against each other. As long as their souls did not dissipate, the void gods would not care. Without experiencing setbacks and tribulations, it was hard for one to become strong even if one had a noble bloodline. Even the void gods would add fuel to the fire in the dark, setting up many traps for their children. Red Devil God Emperor Jiao Yinlu gritted his teeth. He had fought with the eldest Highness for so many years, and had always been on the losing end. It was all because of this ruler from another race, Red Devil God Emperor. With a ruler helping his big brother, the disparity in strength between both parties made him suffer every single time. His big brother had a cold and crazy personality, tormenting him time after time. To this, that great Emperor Jiao Yin, who was cultivating in the deepest region of the Primogenita Devil Mountain, simply watched on coldly. He was too lazy to care. Hand it over. This time, my mood is good, so I won't play with you anymore. The eyes of the golden-armored male were filled with craziness and expectation. He had never thought that this little brother of his could discover the Black Devil's sacred fruit tree. If not for the fact that he was afraid of his little brother destroying the fruit tree, he would have long acted. Only when the fruit matured, and the Black Devil's sacred fruit was incomparably tough and indestructible, did he reveal himself publicly. After obtaining this sacred object, he had hopes of breaking through to the ruler realm. You are delusional, Jiao Yinlu growled. It's a pity that you can't destroy it even if you want to. Since you don't agree, then I can only act. The golden-armored male softly said. In a while, don't show mercy. Kill them all and take back the Black Devil's sacred fruit. Yes. The group of protectors under him acknowledged. The golden-armored male turned to the Red Devil God Emperor by his side. This was his greatest reliance. For the sake of roping in a ruler to work for him, he had spent quite a bit of effort. The Red Devil God Emperor lightly nodded. Hong, His Highness Jiao Yinlu stood there. But the palace beside him suddenly erupted with rings of arrays. In fact, the arrays all over the planet were activated, causing a powerful aura to surge. His Highness Jiao Yinlu, who was protected by layers of arrays, even took a step back into the palace. He looked at the group of enemies outside through the main door and bellowed, Jiao Yin Tung, don't even think about getting it. Even if I die, I won't let you get it. What do you mean by death? I'm just going to destroy this clone of yours. You are my little brother. How would I dare to kill you for real? The golden-armored male laughed. There's one more thing that you're wrong about. After I kill all of you, the Black Devil's sacred fruit will be mine. You won't be able to stop me. Protectors, quickly protect His Highness. The other protector beside him felt somewhat uneasy, and hurriedly transmitted a message. Hoo. At that moment, the protectors scattered throughout the cavern dwellings on the planet immediately rushed over. The planet was only so big, so even if they were to fly, they would still be able to reach the palace of His Highness Jiao Yinlu in the blink of an eye. Amongst them was Ying, who had rushed over after hearing the news. The golden-armored male swept his gaze across the group of protectors and sneered. A bunch of fools. Go kill all of them. Chapter 754. Yes, this group of guards was filled with killing intent, especially Cha Yunno, who had just revealed his identity. He was itching to show his strength. They had the ruler, the Red Devil Emperor, on their side. This filled them with confidence. After all, the difference between a paragon and a ruler was too great. Once one stepped into the ruler realm, it would be a qualitative change. Monarch Green was able to sweep through a group of paragons. However, when he reached the bottleneck in all three Daos, he was only able to fight against the weakest ruler, Bloody Ruler Nile. From this, it could be seen how great the difference between a paragon and a ruler was. They would definitely win. This was a massacre. Boom, 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 boom. All of them transformed into streams of light and charged towards Dongbo Shui-Ying and the other guards. As for Dongbo Shui-Ying and the rest, they rushed over with some confusion. Brother Tsong, Brother Shandan, what's going on? Dongbo Shui-Ying did not understand the situation. Beside him, Protector Tsong, Shandan and the rest had a change in expression. After all, they had followed the first prince for a longer period of time. With a single glance, they recognized the first prince, Jiao Yinteng. They also saw the red-haired, one-eyed old man. That was an existence they could not fight against, the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. The first prince has brought people over. Beside him is the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. Shandan transmitted to Dongbo Shui-Ying. With the Red Devil God Emperor here, we will be sending ourselves to death again. Protector Tsong was also feeling bitter. Dongbo Shui-Ying immediately understood. In the past 30 million years, he would occasionally come out to spar with the other guards and gain some information. He knew that the person His Highness Jiao Yinlu was most hostile towards was the first prince, Jiao Yinteng. They are here. Before the Red Devil God Emperor makes his move, we will kill as many as we can. Let's go all out. The guards who had rushed over quickly judged the situation and knew that they had no hope of winning. All of them were filled with anger. They were venerable realm existences after all, and they had their dignity and face. They were not willing to be slaughtered just like that. They had to retaliate and kill as many as they could before the Red Devil God Emperor, who thought highly of himself, made a move. Shui-Ying looked at the group of enemy experts who had turned into streams of light and were brimming with killing intent. He then turned to the distant Red Devil God Emperor. His eyes were filled with expectations. It would be great if I could fight with the ruler before my cultivator Cosmos starts fighting with the ancestor mother religion. Hua! Shui-Ying flipped his hand, causing 6 darts to appear. After reaching the 6th level of the Voidwalker body, he had only infused a small portion of the frightening strength he had into the darts. After all, he could easily pinch the 3 holy protectors to death with his current strength. Dealing against a group of paragons, he did not have to spend too much strength. He directly flung them out. The 6 darts disappeared into the mirage world. Following that, another 6 darts appeared in Dongbo Shui-Ying's hand. He flung them out once again. This set of darts was obtained from the protectors of the ancestor mother religion, and there were exactly 12 of them. The 12 darts flew within the mirage world. All of them contained a terrifying power. Under the control of Dongbo Shui-Ying, the 12 darts flew out from the mirage world at the same time, arriving in front of 12 of the enemy's protectors. Those 12 protectors did not have the time to resist. After all, Dongbo Shui-Ying's Tao of Mirage had long reached a bottleneck. In the cultivator cosmos, not a single paragon could sense it in advance. One could see the 12 protectors being struck by the darts in their chests. The darts penetrated through their chests before disappearing. At the moment when the darts penetrated their chests, an unseen energy filled with killing intent was transmitted into their bodies, causing every single part of their bodies to tremble. The 12 protectors were originally flying at high speed, but following that, they began to slow down due to inertia. This made the other protectors look over in bewilderment. The bodies of the protectors were like grains of sand. They began crumbling apart before being annihilated. The bodies of the 12 protectors had completely crumbled apart. One of the protectors was reborn from nothingness. He was wearing a black robe and had a stooped body. Beneath the black robe, his green eyes were staring at the distant Dongbo Shui-Ying with terror. The entire place turned silent. Be it the protectors of Dongbo Shui-Ying or the protectors of the Crown Prince, all of them stopped moving. Why is it him again? It's him again? I am not willing. I am not willing. His Highness Jiao Yinlu looked at the golden-armored male in the distance. His body was trembling. Clearly, he was enraged to the extreme. I discovered that the Black Devil's sacred fruit tree has been enduring for so long just to use the fruit to break through. Why is he here again? I am not willing. His Highness Jiao Yinlu looked at the group of protectors under him and the group of his big brother, who were about to fight. His heart ached. He was clear. That Red Devil God Emperor would casually kill the strongest protectors on his side. The rest of the protectors would be surrounded and killed. What should I do? What should I do? Jiao Yinlu felt anger, despair, and unwillingness. The blood in his body was boiling, and his mind was about to explode. Suddenly, Jiao Yinlu was stunned. He stared blankly into the distance. The 12 darts pierced through the chests of the 12 protectors before disappearing. The protectors' bodies immediately crumbled apart. Only one of them was reborn from the void. Jiao Yinlu's gaze landed on the distant Dongbua Shuang. At this moment, the 12 darts had already appeared in front of Dongbua Shuang. With a wave of his hand, he kept the darts. Protector Dongbua? Jiao Yinlu muttered. Scared stiff. Scared stiff. Not to mention the group of enemy guards. Even his companions were scared out of their wits. He had only thrown a few darts, and 11 venerable realm guards had died. Those protectors were all wearing armor, yet they were all killed in a single strike. How many protectors did the Crown Prince have? There were only slightly over 20 of them. How many times could he kill them? Brother Dongbua, Shan Dan, Protector Tsong, and the rest were also stunned. They did not dare to believe that this good-tempered companion of theirs, who had sparred with them several times, was actually so terrifying. Still not leaving? As Dongbua Shuang spoke, he did not stop and continued flying towards Jiao Yinlu. Retreat! The protectors of the Crown Prince were so frightened that they started to flee. They no longer had any thoughts of fighting. The current Dongbua Shuang was too strong. He was much stronger than Monarch Green and Pang Yi before they became sovereigns. To these paragons, this was simply a massacre. The difference is too great. No wonder Master and the rest did not allow the paragons to participate in the final battle. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. The rulers did not even care about his previous strength. Only the power of the Black Gourd was of some help. However, the current me should be sufficient, right? Dongbua Shuang glanced at the Blood Devil God Emperor before landing in front of the palace. He looked at the astonished His Highness Jiao Yinlu and greeted, Your Highness. Bodyguard Dongbua. His Highness Jiao Yinlu was truly astonished. This newly joined bodyguard Dongbua had only treated him according to his old habits. He did not think that Dongbua Shuang was too important. But today he was completely stunned. This bodyguard Dongbua was simply unimaginable. Most likely, even if his big brother's protectors joined hands, they would still be swept away by Dongbua Shuang. Your Highness, there is no need to worry. With me around, no one will be able to harm your Highness, said Dongbua Shuang. Good. You must be careful of that Red Devil God Emperor. He is a ruler and is extremely powerful. His Highness Jiao Yinlu was still feeling uneasy. After all, that was a ruler. Dongbua Shuang laughed. He was not confident that he could defeat a ruler, but he was confident that he could protect Dongbua Shuang. After reaching the 6th level of the Voidwalker realm, his control over the void was much stronger. He could easily bring Dongbua Shuang and escape in an instant. However, he would not admit defeat so easily. What arrogant words! A cold voice came from afar. Dongbua Shuang turned his head. The golden-armored man, Jiao Yintung, who was high up in the sky, had a look of anger on his face. You are the newly recruited protector of my useless little brother? You think too highly of yourself. He looked at the Red Devil God Emperor beside him. The Red Devil God Emperor, on the other hand, had a calm look in his eyes. He even revealed a smile and said, Brat, your strength is not bad. Amongst paragons, you can be considered invincible. Right, what is your name? My name is Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang raised his head and looked at Jiao Yinlu. The Red Devil God Emperor found it interesting. I want to kill your Highness and take away the Black Devil's sacred fruits. Are you sure you want to fight against me? Dongbua Shuang suppressed his excitement and anticipation. After cultivating for 30 million years, he was unsure of his own strength. The final battle in his hometown caused him to look forward to fighting against a ruler. Looking at the red devil god emperor in the sky, Dongbu Shui Ying's eyes lit up. He grinned and said, "I look forward to fighting against you. I have never fought against a ruler before." Chapter 755. In the air, the red devil god emperor stared at Dongbu Shui Ying and felt that things were getting more and more interesting. "Brat, it is precisely because you have never fought with a ruler before that you dare to provoke me. In a while, you will understand how foolish it is to provoke a ruler." "Red devil god emperor, kill him," the first prince Jiao Yinteng bellowed. "Kill him. God emperor, we can't let him die so easily. Let's see if he still dares to be so arrogant." The traitor Cha Yin-nong, who had just submitted to the first prince, shouted. This caused the other guards of the first prince to feel apprehensive. Enemies should be killed. But given how powerful Dongbu Shuiying was, even if his clone was destroyed, everyone still admired him from the bottom of their hearts. Even if Dongbu Shuiying was arrogant, he had the confidence to do so. God Emperor had the qualifications to teach him a lesson. What was a traitor like him supposed to do? Fight with the ruler? On the side of the third prince, Jiao Yinlu, everyone was extremely nervous. Shan Dan, Protector Song, and the other guards were all watching anxiously. Even though they had seen Dongbu Shuiying display his invincible might earlier, they still didn't have much confidence. Only Dongbu Shuiying's battle intent was soaring. Do you know that rulers are able to form their own law domains? As the Red Devil God Emperor spoke, his body began to emit a misty light. The light illuminated the surroundings, enveloping an area of roughly 1,000 meters. This is my domain. His figure suddenly flashed, and he immediately closed in on Dongbu Shuiying. His single eye stared fixedly at Dongbu Shuiying. The distance between them was already very close, and the domain he released also enveloped Dongbu Shuiying. Domain decomposition. Chi. Everything within his domain started to disintegrate. Be it the void or the soil on the ground, everything started to disintegrate. A decomposing force that belonged to the laws acted on Dongbu Shuiying's body. The Red Devil God Emperor watched on with a smile. However, his expression suddenly changed. This was because when the formless decomposing force descended on Dongbu Shuiying's body, it seemed to have drawn out the terrifying strength that Dongbu Shuiying had been hiding. Boom! Dongbu Shuiying, who was standing there, suddenly unleashed a terrifying aura. Everything around him started to distort, and a formless gray ripple spread out, easily destroying the power of disintegration. It clashed with the blurry light released by the Red Devil God Emperor. Boom! 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 The gray ripples released by Dongbu Shuiying clashed violently with the hazy light released by the Red Devil God Emperor, resulting in a loud explosion. Dongbu Shuiying's domain was at a slight disadvantage. What? Law domain? He has a law domain too. Eldest Prince Jiao Yinteng, third Prince Jiao Yinlu, and the other protectors were all stunned. Even the Red Devil God Emperor was startled. He is clearly a paragon. The protectors from both sides were in a daze. His body is too powerful, so powerful that he has formed a law domain naturally. The eldest prince, Jiao Yinteng, coldly stared at Shuiying as he said, "Those with extremely powerful bodies like the ancestor mother religion's law system, or the strongest warrior's law system." In the historical records, there were some heaven-defying paragons whose bodies were too tyrannical at the paragon realm, and thus, they naturally formed a law domain. The Red Devil God Emperor looked at Dongbu Shuiying. His soul eye was filled with shock and astonishment. "Paragon, your body can actually form a law domain naturally. Admirable, admirable. I'm afraid that even I cannot compare to you in terms of the strength of my body." Dongbu Shuiying chuckled. Actually, holy protectors from the ancestor mother religion could already release unseen ripples. That was considered a small-scale law domain. But it was different for the Voidwalker system. He had cultivated it all the way to the 6th level, and his fleshy body was comparable to a religious leader from the ancestor mother religion who had just broken through. His control over the surrounding void had finally formed a law domain. His law domain was biased towards the void, but Dongbu Shuiying did not feel proud. like Temporal Island Lord and Empress Qianhe. They could not compare to the holy protectors of the ancestor mother religion in terms of fleshy bodies. But they had a huge advantage in terms of laws, making it easy for them to kill the holy protectors. Similarly, this red devil god emperor in front of him might have a weaker body, but the other party did not specialize in his fleshy body. According to the intelligence provided by the third prince, the other party's strongest point was that soul eye. Red devil god emperor, just a law domain isn't able to affect us. Bring out your true strength. Dongbo Shuang flipped his hand, causing a silver spear to appear. I do think highly of you, and do not wish to kill you. But since you are taking the initiative to send yourself to death, the red devil god emperor shook his head. He was still willing to befriend someone who could form a law domain when he was a paragon. But this time, he had to obtain the black devil's sacred fruits, and the other party did not know when to advance or retreat. Then I have no other choice. Wung 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 wung. The soul eye of the red devil god emperor emitted light. His body turned illusory, and many figures of the red devil god emperor appeared in his surroundings. A total of more than 100 red devil god emperor appeared in all directions. They completely surrounded Dongbo Shuang. All of them were looking at Dongbo Shuang. It's starting. The red devil god emperor is using his killing move. How can we fight against so many incarnations? We can't even find his true body. Also, each of his incarnations is extremely powerful. The guards from both sides, and the two princes were watching nervously. It's coming. Dongbo Shuiying's battle intent surged. The information provided by the Third Highness was very clear. He knew that the most powerful move of the Red Devil God Emperor was this incarnation. His true body could be switched between incarnations, and the combat prowess of the incarnations far surpassed ordinary paragons. Just the advantage in numbers was enough to cause them to feel despair. Die! Dongbo Shuiying's figure flashed as the speed and strength of his Voidwalker body erupted forth, causing the Red Devil God Emperor to feel shock in his heart. After that, he calmed himself down and sneered. For those with such powerful bodies, they would only be able to use a few moves in a battle. They are extremely stupid, and it would be easy to defeat them. Selah. Even the void was sliced apart. The silver-long spear left behind numerous cracks in the surrounding space, as it slashed out in all directions. Those incarnations of the Red Devil God Emperor each wielded a gigantic black saber, as they surrounded Dongbo Shuiying. But pung 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 pung. The incarnations were either sliced into two by the long spear, or pierced through their bodies. It was simply a one-sided slaughter. What a powerful spear art. Among the many incarnations, the Red Devil God Emperor's true body had been hiding far away from Dongbo Shuiying as he watched silently. At the same time his expression changed. His battle isn't stupid at all. I can't even see through the profoundness of his spear art. In the laws and profound mysteries system, he had reached the bottleneck of the Tao of Slaughter. He was just one step away from attaining eternal perfection. How could such a level of spear art be so easily blocked? There was still hope if he used his true body to block it. But these incarnations? It was fine for the incarnations to deal with ordinary paragons. But against Dongbo Shuiying, they were still far from enough. What a pity. I have more numbers. Forget it, I'm not playing anymore. Kill him. The incarnations of the Red Devil God Emperor died one after another, but new incarnations were born. The total number of incarnations didn't decrease at all. Suddenly, all the incarnations surged forward. After all, Dongbo Shuiying only had a single spear. How could he kill all the incarnations? Pooh. Of the two incarnations that failed to defend, one of them suddenly switched to his true body. The saber light suddenly turned cold. It flashed past his body, as though it was slicing through the void. Dongbo Shuiying's expression changed slightly. Pooh. Dongbo Shuiying's body was hidden within the mirage world at the crucial moment, but he was still sliced by the saber. The robe that the Third Highness had bestowed upon him was torn, and white marks were left on his skin. Pu. The many incarnations attacked frenziedly, and Dongbo Shuiying was struck time and time again. As for Dongbo Shuiying, He executed his spear art, killing the incarnations one after another. However, he couldn't even touch the true body. Every time he attacks, he immediately retreats. Dongbo Shuiying mumbled to himself. It seems like he is still far from being able to win by relying on his physical body alone. I'll let this ruler have a taste of my strongest secret art that I've perfected for 30 million years. The first chapter had arrived. The second chapter still had to be modified. Chapter 756. Hong, standing there. Dongbo Shuiying's body suddenly released countless blood ripples in all directions. These blood ripples were like the tides of the ocean, surging and surging in all directions. Those incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor that were originally attacking Dongbo Shuiying trembled and dissipated under the blood ripples. These incarnations had bodies comparable to the apex protectors of the ancestor mother religion, but under the blood ripples, they could not resist at all. The moment they were affected, they dissipated. This scene had truly shocked the Red Devil God Emperor. How is this possible? Red Devil God Emperor was so frightened that he retreated. He rapidly retreated. As Dongbo Shuiying stood there, the blood ripples spread out in all directions. The area it covered was continuously expanding to 1,000 kilometers, more than 5,000 kilometers, frightening the Crown Prince Jiao Yinteng and his paragons who were watching the battle from afar. They retreated even further. Shuiying temporarily retracted his attack when it was extended to a region of more than 5,000 kilometers. What technique is this? Why is it so powerful? Even the incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor were killed in an instant. Third Highness Jiao Yinlu and his protectors were all startled. Protector Shan Dan did not dare imagine that a paragon he casually roped in the past would be so terrifying. The blood ripple domain he displayed could directly sweep away the incarnations of Red Devil God Emperor. This technique was definitely at the ruler realm. His Highness Jiao Yinlu was both startled and delighted. Could it be that my luck has really turned for an existence like Dongbo to become my protector? But he did not know. With Dongbo Shuiying's temperament, if not for the Third Highness treating his protectors with kindness, and if not for him urgently seeking other cultivation systems, he would not have agreed to become his protector so easily. Why would he agree to become his protector so easily? Dongbo Shuiying stood high in the sky, looking at Red Devil God Emperor, who was hiding behind the blood ripples with a hint of fear. Why, Red Devil God Emperor, are you afraid? You don't even dare to enter my domain technique? Dongbo Shuiying laughed. If you're afraid, then you won't be able to obtain the Black Demon Saint fruits. In the distance, First Prince Jiao Yinting became anxious. That was right. If he did not defeat this terrifying bodyguard Dongbo, who came out of nowhere, how would he be able to snatch the Black Demon Holy Fruit from his little brother? Red Devil God Emperor. The first Prince Jiao Yinting also looked at the Red Devil God Emperor. Red Devil God Emperor stared at Dongbo Shuiying with his single eye. His dignity as a hegemon wouldn't allow him to back down. I don't believe that a venerable's domain can kill me. The Red Devil God Emperor calmly flew towards the Crimson Domain. As he approached, his hand naturally touched the Crimson Domain first. The Crimson Domain suddenly expanded, enveloping the Red Devil God Emperor. The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed slightly. He glanced at the distant Dongbo Shuiying, who had a smile that wasn't a smile on his face. However, he didn't say anything. He could feel the formless blood-colored ripples destroying his law domain. The ripples were seeping into his body, affecting it. Moreover, countless blood-colored ripples were constantly wrapping around him. The strangest thing was that no matter how the Red Devil God Emperor moved or flew, the strength of the binding would only increase as time passed. The injuries on his body would also gradually worsen. The Red Devil God Emperor immediately thought of an absolute art that he had once seen in another cultivation system. Slaughter Domain? The Red Devil God Emperor stared at the distant Dongbo Shuiying in shock. It can't be considered as such. It can't compare to the might of the true Slaughter Domain. Dongbo Shuiying laughed. What? Slaughter Domain? The Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System's Slaughter Domain. the distant two princes, and some paragons all felt a chill in their hearts. In the cosmos emissary cultivation system, when one reached the ruler realm, one's every action would be able to draw upon the universe's origin energy. Among them, there was a legend in the slaughter lineage, the legend of the slaughter domain. According to their cultivation system, one had to reach the ruler realm and be able to draw upon the universe's origin energy. Only then would one be able to form the slaughter domain. Within the slaughter domain, the enemy would die the moment they entered. Even extremely powerful enemies could barely survive. But the moment they entered, they would be injured, and their injuries would only worsen. At the same time, they would be restricted by the slaughter domain, and the restrictions would also increase. Moreover, within the slaughter domain, the combat strength of the existence that controlled the slaughter domain would also increase. In theory, no matter how powerful a ruler was, they would still die without a doubt. Naturally, this was only in theory, because within the Devil Mountain cosmos, no one would be able to control the universe's origin energy. How could he have cultivated the slaughter domain? Our cosmos was created by our primogenitor. The universe's origin energy cannot be controlled. The two princes felt disbelief. The guards were also somewhat dazed. But Dongbo Shuiying himself was very clear on this. Back then, he had discovered that the slaughter lineage of the cosmos emissary cultivation system was of great help to him. Thus, he had asked the princes to help him collect this type of absolute arts. He had continuously researched it, causing his understanding of the Tao of slaughter to deepen. However, during this process of research, Dongbo Shuiying had also analyzed these absolute arts from the perspective of laws and profound mysteries. He discovered that these absolute arts also contained other Taos, such as the Tao of ripples, the Tao of flames, the Tao of destruction, and so on. Clearly, within the cosmos emissary cultivation system, everything that was beneficial to slaughter was fused together. It was unlike Dongbo Shuiying's hometown, which had such a detailed division of laws and profound mysteries. Dongbo Shuiying discovered that the slaughter domain was actually formed from the Tao of slaughter and the Tao of ripples. The Tao of ripples was used a lot in the cosmos emissary cultivation system. Because he had researched so many absolute arts, he had gradually accumulated experience in the Tao of ripples. In the 10 million years he had spent in his hometown cosmos, he had opened up the Tao of mirage and Tao of slaughter. And in these 30 million years, Dongbo Shuiying had also opened up his third Tao, the Tao of ripples. He had also raised his Tao of ripples to the peak, and he was very close to the bottleneck. The Tao of slaughter and the Tao of ripples were fused together. He used the laws and profound mysteries system to research the slaughter domain and reconstructed it to perfection. After a long period of time, Dongbo Shuiying had finally created his strongest secret technique in the past 30 million years, the slaughter domain. Although it was not as good as the original version, Dongbo Shuiying believed that this was because his two Taos had yet to reach eternity. The moment they reached eternity, his slaughter domain would undergo a qualitative change. The reason why the cosmos emissary cultivation system's slaughter domain was so strong was because it could mobilize the cosmos origin energy, and his slaughter domain mainly relied on the laws. The stronger the laws, the stronger it would be. In the slaughter domain, I'm much stronger than before. Dongbo Shuiying smiled. He held his spear with one hand and casually waved it with his right. Che, poke, sweep, point, draw and tangle. He casually executed this technique, but through the resonance of the slaughter domain's ripples, it formed an attack around the Red Devil God Emperor. One attack after another seemed to be executed at close range. It was strange and unpredictable. I don't believe it. I don't believe that a ruler like you only has this much power. Bring out even more power. Dongbo Shuiying said coldly. Defeating this ruler wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was to use this battle to test his own strength. If you don't bring out even more power, you're going to lose. Dongbo Shuiying's voice reverberated. In the distance, the two princes and the guards were all dumbfounded. A paragon actually dared to be so arrogant. Not only did he have the upper hand, But he still wanted his opponent to bring out even more power? Wasn't this too arrogant? Very good, very good. The Red Devil God Emperor was enraged as well. He growled. I only came to the Devil Mountain Cosmos to cultivate. I didn't expect that you would actually force me to bring out my strongest power. Very good, very good. His single eye suddenly turned snow-white. Hung. A vast expanse of whiteness. A bone-chilling cold instantly spread out. Even some of the arrays in the surroundings started to freeze and shatter. His Highness Jiao Yunlu and the rest, who were hiding in the palace, hurriedly looked carefully. They saw that the blood-colored massacre domain was still churning. However, the degree of churning was clearly lower. It was being suppressed. Dongbo Shuiying's body seemed both real and illusory. He could still feel the terrifying cold seeping into his mirage world, and into his body. It seems like it isn't easy to defeat a ruler. Dongbo Shuiying looked at the distant Red Devil God Emperor. At this moment, the Red Devil God Emperor's body was covered with a layer of white armor. His aura had also become much stronger. The last time I used my strongest power was when the Devil Mountain Cosmos conquered our hometown. The Red Devil God Emperor roared. Since a paragon like you wants to die, I'll send you to your death. The Red Devil God Emperor was truly enraged. Dongbo Shuiying's lips curled up slightly. Chapter 757. The surrounding was filled with a bone-chilling cold. A portion of the spirit designs had been frozen to the point of shattering. There were even many places on this planet where snowflakes had started to drift down. The first prince Jiao Yinteng, Cha Yun Nong, and the other protectors were watching nervously from afar. Fortunately, the Red Devil God Emperor had intentionally controlled the cold to avoid them. They were only slightly affected by the cold, but they were still shivering. The main target, Dongbo Shuiying, revealed a smile. He looked at the berserk Red Devil God Emperor and said, Perhaps I will be the one to send you to your death. Ha 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 boom. The furious Red Devil God Emperor, who was wearing a white armor and wielding a giant saber, instantly pounced towards Dongbo Shuiying. Dongbo Shuiying stood there as blood-colored waves surged around him. However, this was ultimately not the original slaughter domain. It was merely a reference, a secret skill that relied on the fusion of the Tao of Slaughter and Tao of Ripple. These two Taos had not reached the perfect eternal stage. Thus, the slaughter domain was suppressed by the endless coldness, causing its might to be greatly reduced. However, Dongbo Shuiying was still standing there as he wielded his silver spear. He smiled as he watched the Red Devil God Emperor charge towards him. The giant saber was as fast as lightning. Its might was even stronger than before. Hua! Dongbo Shuiying spun the spear in his hand and blocked the giant saber's blade mysteriously. The terrifying strength within his body allowed him to not take a single step back. Instead, it was the Red Devil God Emperor who was forced to retreat explosively. My speed has slowed down. Dongbo Shuiying frowned. The surrounding space was filled with formless cold qi. This cold qi was able to suppress the slaughter domain. At the same time, Dongbo Shuiying's every movement was hindered and slowed down. I admit that you are very strong. However, you are still not strong enough to challenge a ruler. The Red Devil God Emperor's voice reverberated throughout the world. At the same time, his figure turned into a specter as he attacked Dongbo Shuiying from all directions. When he executed his ultimate move, his might and speed had greatly increased. However, Dongbo Shuiying was affected. For a moment, he was at a disadvantage in terms of speed. Relying on his spear, his defense was impeccable. His body is actually not affected at all. Red Devil God Emperor was frantically attacking, yet he was feeling anxious in his heart. Based on his experience, most ordinary rulers would be heavily injured when facing such a cold. Furthermore, the recovery of their injuries would be slow, and as time passed, their life force would be depleted, and they might even die. Furthermore, his life would be exhausted. Dongbo Shuiying. Yet Dongbo Shuiying of his body. What he didn't know was that the combination of the Tao of Mirage and the Voidwalker lineage allowed Dongbo Shuiying's survivability to not lose out to Monarch Hex Cricket. Although he was a paragon now, his survivability would cause even rulers who weren't proficient in it to feel envious. Who? When the Red Devil God Emperor attacked once more, Dongbo Shuiying, who was standing there, vanished. He disappeared. The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed. He hurriedly looked at his surroundings. His single eye erupted with boundless coldness, yet he couldn't sense anything. Even I can't sense anything? The Red Devil God Emperor's surroundings started to emit a faint light. This was his law domain. The radius of the law domain was very small, but its senses were extremely strong. It's here. The Red Devil God Emperor's expression changed. He discovered it. But by the time he discovered it, Dongbo Shuiying's spear had already arrived in front of him. Pooh! The tip of the spear was surrounded by ripples. These ripples seemed to be able to tear everything apart. The Red Devil God Emperor didn't even have time to defend. The spear tip pierced into his chest. Ka! The white armor on the Red Devil God Emperor's body was only slightly damaged. The spear tip didn't manage to pierce through it. Dongbo Shuiying instantly retracted his spear and vanished once more. Where did he go? The Red Devil God Emperor searched in all directions. He was feeling anxious and shocked in his heart. This paragon's concealment techniques were too powerful. Other than his law domain, he was unable to detect his enemies. However, the radius of his law domain was too small. It could only cover a distance of 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters was simply too short for experts of their level. The Third Highness Jiao Yun Lu and the others, as well as the First Highness Jiao Yun Tung and the others, were all extremely nervous and shocked. They didn't expect that the battle would progress to such a stage. The Red Devil God Emperor had unleashed an ultimate technique that none of them knew of. A terrifying coldness enveloped the entire area. Not only could it attack his enemies, it could also suppress them. Furthermore, the Red Devil God Emperor's strength rapidly rose. Even his defense became extremely powerful because of that layer of white ice armor. However, that mysterious Dongbo guard had actually vanished without a trace. Time and time again, he launched sneak attacks. Even a ruler would find it hard to detect him. If he were to launch a sneak attack on us, would we still be alive? The spectating guards muttered. Sneak attack? Does he even need to sneak attack to kill us? These guards were completely shocked. Some of them even felt admiration and worship for Dongbo. Within the Mirage world, Dongbo Shuiying frowned. At the same time, he executed two movement techniques. One was the Mirage world, and the other was the Void Evasion. Just like the Mirage world, time and space would be much faster. This was because the Mirage world was under his control. Using the Void Evasion in the Mirage world would make his concealment even more formidable. One was a nomological concealment technique, while the other was a technique that the Void Walkers specialized in. These two techniques could be used together perfectly. This caused the mighty ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor, to be unable to detect Dongbo Shuiying at all, other than relying on his nomological domain to sense him. A nameless ruler. Even the ruler who is the First Highness's bodyguard is actually so hard to defeat. Dongbo Shuiying shook his head. Let's try using the termination energy. If I can't even break through his defenses, then I won't be able to win. Termination energy. This was one of the three great techniques of the Void Walkers. The three great techniques were the body, the Void Evasion, and the termination energy. The termination energy was formed when one absorbed the primordial void energy into one's body. One would then refine some of the extremely destructive energy that one's body could not absorb. Finally, one would be able to condense a special energy with an extremely offensive nature. This energy was known as the termination energy. Termination energy. Dongbo Shuiying grabbed the silver spear. Suddenly, a black light appeared in his palm and spread along the spear shaft. Very soon, the entire silver spear shaft was covered in a layer of black light. Even the tip of the spear was covered in a layer of black light. Even the tip of the spear was covered in a layer of black light. Kill! The spear revolved like a dragon, bringing with it a terrifying killing intent as it directly entered the real world from the Mirage world. It pierced through the nomological domain and pierced towards the Red Devil God Emperor. The speed of the spear was simply too fast. By hiding within the Mirage world, the effects of the cold energy were much lower. The effects on one's speed were almost negligible. Pooh! The Red Devil God Emperor turned his head and saw a spear appearing in front of him. However, there was something strange about this spear. Other than the blood-colored ripples on the tip of the spear, there was actually a layer of black light covering it. Even the spear shaft was covered in a layer of black light. Chapter 758. What is this? The Red Devil God Emperor had never seen it before, but he instinctively felt threatened. However, he was unable to block it in time. The tip of the spear pierced the white ice armor on his shoulder. This time, the terrifying sharpness forcefully penetrated the white ice armor and pierced into his body. The termination energy on the tip of the spear instantly exploded, and the killing undulations were transmitted to the Red Devil God Emperor's entire body. The Red Devil God Emperor's face suddenly turned red. He immediately controlled the cold ice power to freeze his body, trying his best to protect his body and expel the terrifying termination energy and the killing undulations. The Eastern European snow eagle immediately retracted his spear and prepared to stab a second time. The Red Devil God Emperor's face turned pale. Although he had used the cold ice power to protect more than half of his life force, he had still lost nearly 30% of it. Although he would protect himself more carefully in the future, he estimated that he would die in 8 to 10 spears. He had lost. Red Devil God Emperor understood this point. Even though he still had some small tricks up his sleeves, against Ying, who was hiding so well that it was hard to detect him, and against this frightening spear technique, he knew he would definitely lose. I never thought that I, the Red Devil God Emperor, would lose to a paragon one day. Ha ha ha. The Red Devil God Emperor laughed out loud. His single eye returned to normal, and the coldness started to recede. However, at the same time, many incarnations appeared around him. His main body also disappeared into thin air and hid among the incarnations. The incarnations fled in all directions. Escape? Dongbuo appeared. The surroundings suddenly erupted with a blood-colored wave. The slaughter domain surged in all directions. This time, the speed at which it spread was clearly much faster. However, the Red Devil God Emperor was clearly going all out. One by one, the incarnations quickly fled. Boom! The surging blood-colored wave instantly arrived in front of the First Highness Jiao Yinteng. Jiao Yinteng's expression changed greatly as he looked at the incoming blood-colored wave. He was very clear that he would not be able to withstand the power of the slaughter domain. Don't kill him, capture him alive, the Third Highness Jiao Yinlu shouted. With this shout, the blood-colored wave that had rushed in front of the First Highness immediately split apart, avoiding the First Highness and continuing to chase after the clones. However, the speed of the clones was too fast, and the range of the planetary matrix was too small. A portion of the Red Devil God Emperor's clones were drowned by the slaughter domain, but a large number of them still rushed out. Once they rushed out of the range of the planetary matrix, the Red Devil God Emperor disappeared without a trace. He did not think of saving the First Highness. After all, he did not have any hope in that situation. If he insisted on saving the First Highness, he was afraid that he would really lose his life. Although it was only a clone, the Red Devil God Emperor did not want to die. Being defeated by a venerable was completely different from being killed by a venerable. The Red Devil God Emperor still hoped to save some face. Far away in the starry sky, the Red Devil God Emperor appeared. He looked back and heaved a sigh of relief. He felt a little helpless inside. How embarrassing. My hometown Cosmos has been conquered. After coming to this Devil Mountain Cosmos, I wanted to go to the Primogenita Devil Mountain. Yet I was crushed and killed. For the sake of cultivation resources, I decided to rely on the First Highness of a Void God clan. Who would have thought that I would be defeated by a paragon? The Red Devil God Emperor shook his head. Even though he did not save the First Highness, he did not care at all. After all, it was the First Highness who begged him. He was a ruler. If he really wanted to rely on the First Highness, the 3 Void God clans, as long as they had not become rulers, would most likely yearn for it. But for a ruler to be the protector of a paragon, it was quite embarrassing. I've really lost a lot of face this time, Such a huge matter has been witnessed by the two highnesses, and so many protectors. It will likely spread across the entire Devil Mountain cosmos very soon. There are also experts from other cosmos. He Dongbua Shuiying became famous by stepping on me. The Red Devil God Emperor felt slightly sorrowful, but he accepted it wholeheartedly, because Dongbua Shuiying had been provoking him in the previous battle, forcing him to unleash his strongest power. He had nothing to say about being defeated under the condition of unleashing his strongest power. The blood wave surged, surrounding the First Highness Jiao Yinteng and his protectors. Dongbua Shuiying. The First Highness squeezed out a smile and said, "You relied on my little brother just for some benefits, right? Whatever he gave you, I can give you even more." "It's too late," Dongbua Shuiying said. In the past, he needed an opportunity to interact with other cultivation systems of laws. Now that he had obtained what he wanted, all he needed now was to cultivate in seclusion. Protector Dongbua, His Highness Jiao Yinlu, Shan Dan, Protector Tsong, and the other protectors rapidly flew over through the passageway created by the blood wave. These protectors looked at Dongbua Shuiying with slight shock and admiration. It was just like how most paragons in the cultivator cosmos looked at Monarch Green. In fact, Dongbua Shuiying was even more exaggerated. After all, he currently had 3 Daos, and 2 of them had reached the bottleneck. His Dao of Ripple had also reached the apex. More importantly, he had the extremely powerful Voidwalker lineage. All of these allowed him to become even stronger than Monarch Green. "Your Highness," Dongbua Shuiying said, "who should be killed and who should remain? Kill the other protectors, but leave my big brother and Cha Yin Nong behind." His Highness Jiao Yinlu looked at Dongbua Shuiying and said, "Protector Dongbua, if you have any thoughts, feel free to speak." Dongbua Shuiying did not say anything. The surrounding blood-colored waves rippled slightly, enveloping the protectors. Shuiying did not have any enmity with them, but the battle between the 2 princes had lasted for a long time, and the protectors of the 3rd prince had died many times. If not for Shuiying's intervention, they would have been slaughtered as well. Dongbua Shuiying naturally would not act pretentiously. After all, it was just a clone. At most, the other party would lose some treasures. With just a ripple from the slaughter domain, the other protectors were all killed. Only Cha Yin Nong and the First Highness, Jiao Yinteng, were left. "Jiao Yinteng, my elder brother, did you think that such a day would come?" The 3rd Highness Jiao Yinlu's body was trembling. The First Highness Jiao Yinteng did not look at his younger brother. Instead, he looked at Dongbua Shuiying and asked, "What did my younger brother give you?" "Other cultivation techniques, and some absolute arts," Dongbua Shuiying replied. "Just these?" The First Highness was in disbelief. The Devil Mountain cosmos was very tolerant. Imparting cultivation techniques was very easy. Absolute arts were relatively precious, but to the First Highness and 3rd Highness, they were nothing much. "A spear, armor, and a battleship," Dongbua Shuiying said. The First Highness was speechless. It was normal for a highness to have protectors. "That's all." The First Highness looked at Dongbua Shuiying, before looking at the 3rd Highness Jiao Yinlu. "My younger brother, your luck is truly good. I can give you 10 times, or even 100 times more. Are you willing to be my protector?" The First Highness looked at Dongbua Shuiying. "I can do it too," the 3rd Highness shouted. The 3rd Highness was somewhat nervous. "After receiving benefits from others, I will do things for them." After speaking, Dongbua Shuiying didn't say anything else. In Dongbua Shuiying's bones, he was a person who would take revenge for enmity and repay kindness with kindness. In these 30 million years, the 3rd Highness had helped him a lot, and he was indebted to him. If there was a favor, he would naturally repay it. The First Highness Jiao Yinteng knew that it was useless to persuade Qin Wentian. Such a heaven-defying paragon would naturally have his own pride. Jiao Yinteng spoke. "My younger brother has the Black Devil Sacred Fruit. The Black Devil Sacred Fruit might not be of much use to other cultivation systems, but to our bloodline cultivation system, it is a supreme treasure. Why don't you kill my younger brother and snatch the Black Devil Sacred Fruit? The benefits that the Black Devil Sacred Fruit can be exchanged for is beyond your imagination." Jiao Yinting looked at the pale-faced Third Highness Jiao Yinlu. Younger brother, it is still uncertain who will win. Black Devil Sacred Fruit? If I can't get it, don't even think of getting it. Peng. Jiao Yinting's body suddenly exploded. However, the surging blood waves immediately drowned him. The shockwaves from the explosion were easily extinguished by the slaughter domain. However, the surroundings were silent. Shan Dan, Protector Tsong, and the rest were all looking at the Third Highness and Dongbua Shuang. Black Devil Sacred Fruit? There is still Cha Yunong. Your Highness, you should deal with him yourself. Dongbua Shuang spoke. With a thought, the boundless blood waves dissipated. After all, there was only Cha Yunong left. The Third Highness and the group of protectors could easily kill him. Protector Dongbua? Brother Dongbua? His Highness Jiao Yinlu looked at Dongbua Shuang. He couldn't help but rejoice. Your Highness. At this moment, Cha Yunong hurriedly shouted. Jiao Yinlu's expression changed. He turned his head and revealed an expression of anger. You still have the face to call me? I actually trusted you for so long. I must have been blind in the past. Kill him for me. Immediately, the group of protectors looked at Cha Yunong with killing intent. Jiao Yinlu brought Dongbua Shuang into the palace. The two of them sat down in a hall, and the female attendants served them wine. There was still snow outside. It was formed from the boundless frost qi that the Red Devil God Emperor had unleashed. Jiao Yinlu personally poured wine for Dongbua Shuang and smiled. I didn't expect that I, Jiao Yinlu, would be so fortunate to have Brother Dongbua as my protector. From today onwards, Brother Dongbua is no longer my protector. Instead, he is my brother. If you think highly of me, come drink this cup of wine. He personally placed a cup of wine in front of Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang raised his cup and said, Thank you, Your Highness. The two of them raised their cups and drank at the same time. Ha ha ha. Jiao Yinlu was in an extremely good mood. Brother Dongbua was able to defeat the Red Devil God Emperor. It is truly impressive for a paragon to defeat a ruler. I believe this news will soon spread across the entire Devil Mountain cosmos and the surrounding cosmoses. Once this news spreads, I'm afraid some things will happen. Some things? Dongbua Shuang revealed a look of astonishment. I hope Your Highness can guide me. After chatting with his protectors for so many years, he had a deep understanding of the Devil Mountain cosmos. He also understood what it meant for him to defeat the Red Devil God Emperor. Of course, his understanding was definitely not as deep as the Third Highness. Furthermore, revealing his strength was also part of his plan. His master Bloodblade had already discussed this with him. Snow Eagle, if you are forced to, you can reveal our cultivation system to the Devil Mountain cosmos. The laws and profound mystery system is not a big secret in the boundless primal chaos void. Our cultivation system emphasizes on comprehension. It is not a big deal if this gets out. Without the guidance of a senior, it will be very difficult to cultivate. Your mission is to collect everything that can help our cosmos, regardless of cultivation system techniques or anything else. Dongbua Shuang had made ample preparations. With his current cultivation realm, he had already learned the doppelganger technique that Bloodblade had bestowed upon him. Currently, he had another doppelganger in the Devil Mountain cosmos. After all, the time flow here was 3,000 times faster than normal. Cultivating here would be extremely beneficial. You might have heard about it from the other protectors. However, they don't know much. His Highness Jiao Yinlu poured himself a cup of wine and said with a pleased tone, Listen to me carefully. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.